The reviews are in, and Bit Harmony is a hit. The New York Times calls it immaculate. Rolling Stone raves an immaculate podcast. Rotten Tomatoes certified freshes us with this review.
Only 2 words can describe Bit Harmony. Im and accurate.
And Chicago Tribune declares, this is truly, without hyperbole, the most immaculatest audio event of this or any lifetime. Now sit back, relax, and let Matt and Seth immacularize your soul. Welcome to Bit Harmony.
You're listening to Bit Harmony, a video game music podcast, and I'm Matt, and I didn't have to think of like a punny, jokey, whatever intro because this is just a bunch of stuff this episode.
Yeah, I'm Seth, and I don't even know how that would really go for like a mid-year checkpoint kind of episode. Like am I half a Seth or something? Am I halfway through a Seth? I don't know.
I really like, what game was that? Oh, it was Judgment or something. There's this, I like in Japanese fiction when there's like yokai that possess like really specific objects or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
In Lost Judgment, when you're like working at a high school, there's like people are talking about this like yokai that's taken over one of those like, like those in biology class, like you can take out like the plastic organs of like a torso or whatever.
Yeah.
And then people are talking about a haunted one of those, but then it's just a dude that's like dressing up looking like that. It's not actually. And we're already off on a crazy tangent, but anyway, that's what the halfway through a Seth reminded me of, was the weird torso yokai from Lost Judgment.
I love that. It made me think of when you were talking about that. It made me think of that Yokai Watch video from, I don't know if it was from a Nintendo Direct or something, where Bill Trinen was eating all the donuts. Do you remember that?
No, I have no idea. Oh, really? What that is.
There was a Yokai Watch in the lead up to the first Yokai Watch. There was like, I don't remember if it was part of a Nintendo Direct or something, but there was a video. And the whole concept of it was that Bill Trinen was possessed by a yokai that was like, like obsessed with donuts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a Nintendo, staff meeting, and Bill Trinen was just eating all of the donuts out of this like big box of donuts. And Reggie's like, Bill, and he was like his voice was getting higher as he. Oh, it's a good video. I'll have to send that to you.
You describing it, I do think I remember that. I mean, yeah, I watched every Direct back then, even for stuff I didn't care about. So yeah, I probably.
And there were a few. They made, I think, like 2 or 3 of them for Yokai Watch. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I know this is a complete tangent, but can I just say, it was so nice to see Bill Trinen at the Treehouse Live playing Rhythm Heaven. I feel like I hadn't seen him in years.
Me too. Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I was like, oh, look at Bill Trinen there. That's cool. Like, you kind of forget that he's even there. And he's been with Nintendo for forever. And he's one of those kind of like faces you get familiar with. I haven't even seen like Nate Bildorf in one of those in a while. Yeah.
I was trying to explain that to my wife that like, yeah, these aren't the Nintendo Treehouse employees that I remember back in my time during the Wii U and 3DS days. And she was like, okay, like, who's Nate Bildorf?
Yeah.
I was like, you would know him if you saw him. He used to play Splatoon. He was crazy about it.
My boy Nate, he was the best. He was the best. You don't even know.
Anyway, I am possessed by a yokai that's not letting me further this introduction of this episode. We need to get going. Hey, we're talking about our favorite video game music of the first half of 2026, our standard mid-year check-in or checkpoint, whatever the hell we call these things. Your intro this episode is Craftus, track 1 from Bubsy 4D of all things. Woo-hoo. So again, Craftus track 1, and we will talk about Bubsy 4D after the break. and that was Bubsy 4D Craftus Track 1. I don't know why I said it that way, this just happened. It's very weird for me to go into this episode and to not only I demanded this, I was like, we have to play this song in this episode. Not only that I'm demanding that we play a Bubsy song in a Bit Harmony mid-year check-in episode, but this actually might be my favorite video game song so far of this year.
Oh wow! I mean, it is really good. I mean, it is one of the there are two things about Bubsy 4D that I think are objectively very good, and that is the way the game feels to play, the controls of it, and the music. I think the music is pretty great all throughout. So I'm glad that you picked this one because, to be honest, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but Bubsy 4D as a game, I was mostly pretty nonplussed by. But like it is nice to have an excuse to listen to this song again. This is my favorite song in the game.
I was like getting emotional the morning Bubsy 4D is so short that I played through it in like 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah.
And it was like in this early morning, my wife had an early shift, and then I was whatever, I'll just blast through Bubsy 4D real quick. And yeah, I got genuinely kind of emotional. Like the sun was rising on like a late spring morning as I'm playing through the first couple Craftus levels or whatever. Yeah, Bubsy 4D is a game. It's fine. Like it does feel good to play, but like the levels are just kind of, I don't know, they're kind of whatever to me. Like they don't feel fully well designed to take advantage of of the good parts of Bubsy. Again, the move said. Too many parts of the levels where you had to go into like the ball form and then roll around, and like that just, I like the ball form in theory, but I don't want extended like race timed sequences where you have to be the ball when it's kind of by nature so inaccurate, it's kind of floaty and whatever. But when you're like running around as Bubsy and like air dashing and gliding and stuff, it genuinely feels good. And yeah, there's only 3 worlds in this game, and yeah, the peak of it for me was the first couple levels of World 2, probably mostly because this song is playing. I loved it, which makes sense. It's basically just like a Tears for Fears song, so of course I would like this.
Yeah, my first note about this is kind of feels like the soundtrack of exploring the internet in your computer lab for the first time. It has that kind of vibe to it. It's got a nice mix of like jazzy percussion and bass with some of those like 90s inspired sounds. Like you've got flutes that are really nice and prominent in here, strong synths that are very good. There's I tagged 1 minute here, 1 minute in, that synth with like the flute sounds that kind of lead into choral sounds. Again, just kind of sells up that like retro PC vibe, which I guess is probably what they were kind of going for just at large with this game and the soundtrack, just kind of like these kind of like retro inspired sounds and stuff, because this is a Bubsy game and Bubsy in general is like a retro IP. I get it. I think that's kind of what they were going for, but I think this is the one that feels like, greater than the sum of its parts or whatever.
Yeah, it feels like fully realized, fully formed in that way. Even the level itself, like the first world is like everything's just made out of yarn. It's kind of garish, and I didn't like how it looked,
Yeah.
But then you get to world 2, and it's a bunch of like giant versions of like office supplies. Like there's big stacks of paper and giant pencils and whatever. Yeah, I don't know. World 2 just really felt like, okay, if the game had been all to this quality and double the amount, if not more, then we could have been really cooking here. But as it stands, I don't mind having like a quick little 3-hour 3D platformer that feels pretty good to play and has an overall pretty good soundtrack. But then, yeah, you get this song specifically. Hey, it was worth playing just for this song, for me personally.
Yeah.
I did forget to note real quick before we went on the break that Bubsy 4D was composed by Fat Bard. I have no idea. I do like the name. No idea what else they've done. I should probably get around to checking them out because, yeah, this song alone, I'm like, yeah, Fat Bard knows what's up.
Yeah, I mean, Fat Bard knows what's up, man. That should be their tagline on their Bandcamp. Just a big banner. Fat Bard knows what's up. I will, about the game itself, I do wonder if a lot of that has to do with just like limited time and budget or whatever when it comes to like Atari. I don't know how the deal went down or whatever to have Fabraz, the makers of like Demon Tides, for example. And this basically is a Bubsy skin on Demon Tides in a lot of ways. I don't know how that whole thing came to be, but my hunch is that they didn't have like a lot of time to put this thing together, and so for what it is, I think it's actually like a pretty impressive package, all things considered. But yeah, it just like I played through the thing and I thought it was like mostly just fine. I would kind of rather just play Demon Tides, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there's something about the tonality of, I mean, already I hate the tonality of Bubsy. I find Bubsy super annoying. And I think that the people who pretend to be Bubsy fans are super annoying. But the Demon Tides I also find annoying. Like the tone of like these kinds of things. I don't know what it is. There's something about it that kind of just like bristles up against me. Just something about like that main character Beebs or whatever. Like I don't like her attitude and stuff. I don't know. There's something about it. I've just never vibed with it.
No, I'm with you. I think that's like the main thing. I played the demo for Demon Tides. I really liked the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to play it on PC because for one, I heard it was long. I heard it was like over 20 hours to beat that thing. If I'm going to sit down with a game like this where I don't like the tone and the writing, and there is a lot of talking in Demon Turf, in the demo of Demon Tides, and weirdly in Bubsy, if I'm going to sit down with this because of how good the game feels, then I'd rather do it like on my Switch. Like I don't want to sit at the desk stuck here playing this thing with this tone I'm not a huge fan of. And yeah, Bubsy is there is way more talking in this game than I was expecting. Now, you can just not pay attention to it. It's not like it matters. Like all you need to do is run around the levels and get to the end or whatever. You don't need to pay attention, but at the same time, I'm not usually one to skip cutscenes unless it's like egregiously awful, and it's not to that level here. It's just very like, okay, we get the joke is that Bubsy is like a middle-aged loser and everyone around him hates him, including his own family. But you just, that's the whole thing. That's the whole bit. There really is nothing else. And then you just hammer that home the entire length of the game, basically. The tone of this game sucks. I'll just straight up say that. But yeah, overall though, yeah, I liked it honestly more than I was expecting to, even knowing like the pedigree of the developer. I still didn't, for what it is, and again the length and stuff, I think this actually is like punching above its weight in a weird way, but yeah, it's still not very good.
It's harmless, if they do another one of these, I think that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, as you said earlier, at least we got some good music out of it.
Yeah. As someone hosting a video game music podcast, that's really all I can ask for. Just feed me this, fat bard. I'll be a fat podcast host with you.
Yeah, feed me my slop, fat bard.
With that said, then, did we have anything for general housekeeping?
Not really. I poked around. I looked for some new reviews and things. I didn't really see any. Just as a quick reminder, if you like the show, please do leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. We really appreciate that. Quick and easy way to support the show. Yeah, I didn't see any new like comments or anything crazy like that. So pretty straightforward stuff, I think, this time around.
I guess that means then the only real generalities are any post-mortem thoughts on Wheel of Katamari. I have nothing except to say that we talked about the bit harmony effect was real in that episode because of the Cuphead announcements. And then I think unrelatedly, I complained about how bad the Spotify dashboard is. And then literally that night, they completely revamped the Spotify dashboard. And there is way more like interesting information and more colorful graphs and stuff. I know this is, if you're a listener, you don't care at all, but it is funny that the bit harmony effect was real. And then I learned I should have complained about something else instead of the Spotify dashboard.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes, if it takes us complaining about something to have some some actual change happen. But I mean, look, it looks pretty good. Like it's kind of nice to have all that information at a glance, at least. You know, pretty good.
I like the idea that someone at Spotify was like, "Oh, we're losing the bit harmony, boys. We gotta fix something real quick. Put out that patch, hurry!"
Yeah, let's fast track that patch so we don't lose them.
Let's get into the Sean Capri presents the state of the Nintendo Music Address. It is worth noting we are recording this much earlier in the week than we normally do.
True.
It's just a busy week on my end, and this is the best time to do it. So by the time this episode goes up, there will be at least one more update. I would assume 2. We kind of seem to have gotten into this cadence where Nintendo Music is updating twice per week lately. Usually one for more Mario Kart World tracks, and then the other is for an actual new soundtrack. Seems to be what they've been doing lately. So we have 3 drops here to talk about. We've got Wii Sports Resort, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3 rearrangements from Mario Kart World Free Roam, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. We'll start at the top with Wii Sports Resort, composed by Ryo Nagamatsu. I don't really have too much to say about this. It's well documented on this podcast. I love the soundtrack to Wii Sports. Obviously, like, we use the Wii Sports, like, home screen start music for the Sean Capri segment, right? That said, I never owned Wii Sports Resort. I played it a couple times. So from my perspective, this is what, 2009, I think?
That sounds right. Yeah.
I was no longer in high school. Like, all of my friends from high school that I played multiplayer stuff with, including Wii Sports, like, lives were just different then. Like, no one was even around anymore, at least of the people that I played video games with. And I'm like, I'm not gonna buy Wii Sports Resort to, like, play twice, like, at Christmas or whatever, and then the rest of the time I'm just, like, sadly throwing a frisbee by myself. Like, I think I would have loved this back then. I just didn't have anyone to play it with, so I just skipped out on it. I was kind of excited to listen to the music, but honestly, from what I heard on Nintendo Music, it was just fine. Like, it wasn't hitting me like Wii Sports, and honestly, the best songs I heard were, like, rearrangements or referencing the original Wii Sports anyway.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty... It does lean on that a little bit. It leans on that kind of, like, Wii Sports motif a little bit. And yeah, it didn't blow me away either. And it did kind of call to mind to me. Like, for me, Wii Sports was a big thing with my family and I. We played a lot of Wii Sports. I played some of it with friends when they would come over or whatever, but really it was my family. Like, the cool thing about Wii Sports was everybody in my family got into it. You know, we would bust that out and play it with my mom and my dad, but then also, like, during the holidays, you'd get, my grandpa bowling and whatnot. And I don't know, like, that was always really cool and special. And Wii Sports Resort, yeah, by the time that came out, I think people had definitely cooled on it, but I picked it up excitedly, and I enjoyed it, and we had fun with it, but yeah, never quite hit the same highs as the original Wii Sports. And yeah, I think the soundtrack is also sort of indicative of that. It's good, but it's not, like, standout,
Yeah, that was my thoughts. Like, I heard some stuff here that I liked, but yeah, nothing that I'm gonna, like, go out of my way to listen to ever again. Like, I almost always add at least a couple songs from these into various playlists. I think I added literally nothing from Wii Sports Resort into any of my own playlists. Next then were the Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3 rearrangements from the Mario Kart World Free Roam stuff. Hey, this is Mario Kart World. It's the free roam stuff. It's great. I will say, I don't think I realized till now how few Mario 2 rearrangements there were in here, which that seems like the biggest crime that this soundtrack commits, honestly, is obviously I know Mario 1 and 2 in particular don't have much music, but they remixed multiple Mario 1 songs a couple times in here. Why not give me multiple Mario 2 remixes? Mario 2, probably my favorite of these 3 NES Mario games. And yeah, we didn't get that much to chew on with Mario Kart World stuff here.
Yeah, I wonder what the deal is with that. I wonder if they just feel like the I don't know, like the nostalgia for Mario 2 isn't there as much as it is with the first and third game. I don't know, but I mean, I love the Mario 2 music. And yeah, I just quickly pulled up my best of Mario Kart World master playlist here. What I will say this, I have really enjoyed, as these drops have been happening, kind of listening through the drops for Mario Kart World Free Roam that they've been doing, and then like adding them to this best of playlist I've been making, and that's been a fun experience for me. So yeah, the ones that I added the Overworld medley from Mario 3, Underground BGM from Mario 2, Underground BGM acoustic from Mario 1, and Underwater BGM from Mario 1. Those were the tracks from this drop that I added to my master playlist. All very good. Like, it's kind of just fun to have this stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Like, this is consistently the best Nintendo music stuff. Again, it's the best Nintendo soundtrack ever made, so it makes sense that these drops are all good. I will say that, you know, you thought I was going to brush over it. Mario Kart World was in fact composed by Atsuko Asahi, Maasa Miyoshi, Takahiro Honda, and Yutaro Takakuwa. The fact that they are seemingly going to be adding every week more Mario Kart World stuff is a direct attack on me and my sanity. At this point, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at pronouncing those names anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, I agree that
Stockholm syndrome.
I agree. Overworld medley, the Mario 3 Overworld medley. We played that on the Mario 3 Mini a couple months ago. Yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks from Mario Kart World, period. It's just awesome having a medley of Mario 3 world maps. And then, yeah, that underground acoustic for Mario 1
really
ruled.
good.
That was my surprise of this batch. I didn't really remember that one, but that one was very good. Speaking of a bunch of Japanese composer names for me to read off. Lastly, we had Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This was composed by Keiichi Okabe, Ryuichi Takada, Kuniyuki Takahashi. Oh, we got an English name in here. We got Oliver Good. I didn't even see that when I was adding these in here.
All right.
Keita Inoue and Taichi Jiraku. You know, I don't have a ton to say about this either. However, I was listening to this while doing chores yesterday. This is actually way cooler than I thought it was. I didn't remember how much unique stuff was in here. You know, it's not just like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild adjacent stuff. They actually do some interesting things here. There's a lot more what's the word I want to use? Kind of like robotic-y sounding stuff, which makes sense.
Sure.
There's a lot of constructs in Tears of the Kingdom and whatever.
Zonai stuff. Yeah.
Right. There's just like a lot, and you're playing as like the robot Link in this game a lot and whatever. So there is like a lot of like kind of synthetic sounds here that I think are very fun. I'll shout out, I really liked The Unknown Abyss and Into the Depths of the songs I listened to yesterday. Genuinely really good. Like, I added more from this to my own playlist than anything from Wii Sports Resort, which really, really shocked me.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with this. I own Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I have not gotten to it yet. I want to. Like, I really have enjoyed the Hyrule Warriors series, and from what I kind of know about this game, you know, one of the things that annoyed me about Age of Calamity was that they didn't like commit to the bit of it in terms of like tying it into the canon. Like, they were promoting it as like the untold story, you know, or whatever, and it just turned out to be basically like an AU fanfic or something. And you know, and it seems like this one actually does kind of commit to the bit of kind of adding more texture and stuff to the story of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So I appreciate that about the game. And it seems like that from what Aonuma has said, it's kind of informing the future of the mainline Zelda series in some way. I don't know what he means by that, but I guess we'll see. And yeah, listening to the music here from this drop, I was pretty impressed. I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good stuff. I really do need to get back to this. I would give a shout out to, I don't know, I think is it pronounced like Calamo in the game, the little Korok dude. His theme, which is just called the Traveling Korok, I like it a lot, and I just love that character in general. That is definitely the standout character of this game for me.
Yeah, great character. My wife and I played at least 20 or so hours of this. We didn't finish it, but we were having a good time with it. I think other stuff just must have come out. I don't remember at this point. Yeah, it's awesome. And we were doing the game share thing. So I was playing on my Switch 1
That's cool.
handheld while she's playing on Switch 2. Worked way better than I was expecting it to. Like, genuinely super cozy and comfy playing that way without having to own 2 Switch 2s and 2 copies of the game. Yeah, it's great. When it comes to a grade, I guess I'm just not going to beat around the bush. I'll just go for a B+ with this. I think Wii Sports Resort was pretty weak, though again, I appreciate that this happened right after they announced Switch Sports Resort. Again, a sort of revisit of the Wii Sports Resort. That was the weak link. And then Mario Kart World, it's Mario Kart World. Those are fantastic. And then Age of Imprisonment was really good. I'm just going with a B+. I just don't think there was enough here to quite cross over into A- territory.
Yeah, I wound up going with a B-.
Wow.
For this. Yeah, a rare Seth heel turn in the in the Nintendo Music grades. I wound up going with the B- for basically for the same reasons. Yeah, just like I was, Wii Sports Resort didn't do much for me other than the novelty of having it there. I had fun with the Mario Brothers 1 through 3 drops for Mario Kart World, but I always have fun with the Mario Kart World drops. And there is something about that. It's one of the weird things about grading these things when it's like you're grading something that's almost like, yeah, of course it's good,
Right.
kind of thing. And so, yeah. And so Age of Imprisonment was the real, that was the kind of big savior of this one for me and the pleasant surprise. So, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of have to grade these recent drops with Mario Kart World stuff in it. We had to grade them like on a curve because otherwise it would just be above like Mario Kart World stuff is so good it would just be automatically above most of the other drops they've ever done at this point. Even
and it would elevate the
small
grade of anything else too, right? Like it would just instantly make anything, even if they had dropped a bad soundtrack, it'd be, well, this drop is at least kind of good because it had Mario Kart World, so it is weird. You do have to like compensate.
Right. And also, yeah, even with Mario 1, 2, and 3 rearrangements in here, it's still not that many songs in here. So that's also kind of where I was docking it a little bit. But again, it's all just made up nonsense. It's just fun to talk about.
We think about this probably too hard.
Okay, honestly, I used to like really deliberate my grades ahead of time. I literally don't think about them at all until we start doing the segment. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to grade this. I guess I'll just figure it out. I'll feel it out as we get there.
I write it down whenever I put together my notes. I write it down then because I don't want to. I mean, so I think there has been a couple of times where I've like gone up or down in the moment just based on the conversation or whatever. But for the most part, I try to nail it down beforehand.
The pure passion of the conversation elevates it.
Sometimes, every now and then, we will get like so worked up. I'll be like, you know what? This deserves a little bit more juice. Yeah.
You know what? Metroid 2 does suck. Give this a D. With that out of the way, then we are into the bulk of the episode. So before we start getting into our like top 5 picks or whatever, if you want to call them that, I do want to shout out things that we've already covered from this year on previous episodes that we're not going to talk about here a second time, as well as stuff that I'm aware of, but like we can't really speak to right now. So Escape from Ever After and Cozy Caravan, those both came out this year. They both have fantastic soundtracks, but we talked about them both a bit, at least on the Grab Bag episode from late January or early February, something like that. Declines Drops, that came out on Switch and I think Xbox earlier this year. We just did a mini on that like a few weeks ago, so that's why that's not here. Mio, Memories in Orbit, neither of us have played this. We did have a voicemail about this on I think that was the Luminous Arise episode. Yeah, it was Chris that called that in. I had Shy Guy like give me some examples from the soundtrack, knowing that he really liked it. And yeah, what I've heard of that soundtrack is amazing. I just can't speak to the game, so I just kind of vetoed it from this conversation. I wanted to shout out a couple of things here. Whisper of the House, which just came out on Switch a few days ago. My wife bought this and is really, really enjoying it. I would pitch this as unpacking, but with more of an overarching like story and kind of adventure and progression to it. And there's a surprising amount of like paranormal stuff going on. And the game is it's bigger than you're thinking it is. It has more of a gameplay element. Like when I say unpacking, I don't just mean that you're literally just unpacking. It is way more of a decorating game. It just has the unpacking element of like taking stuff out, and everything you put down has like a unique noise and stuff like that. And it's pixel
the
based.
video game unpacking. To be clear, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I guess I should have made that clear. If
It's just weird, right?
unpacking.
Because unpacking is also like a thing you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to shout that out. The game seems very lovingly made. Again, my wife is really into it. I really have enjoyed watching her play so far, and the soundtrack is very, very good. But again, haven't played it myself. I didn't want to dedicate a whole segment to it. Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties. We're going to be doing a Yakuza episode probably in a few months is my guess. I think my wife's going to come back on to talk about that. Paranormal Site, The Mermaid's Curse. Neither of us have played this yet. I've heard some of the soundtrack. It's very good, but again, neither of us have played it.
Yeah, I played a couple hours of it, but I need to. Yeah, I started it, and I fully intended. It's like one of those, where I was playing it, and then something else came out that kind of distracted me from it. But I love the first game, and I love what I've played of this, so I fully intend on going back to it before the year is out, because I have a hunch this will probably wind up on my top 10 by the end of the year, because the first game was on my top 10 that year. So I am confident that I will love this one too.
Well, I apologize for misspeaking. For some reason, I thought you hadn't played it yet. Next was UFO 50 Nonograms, which I've excluded because I don't want this episode to be 5 hours long.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware, this is a fan-made Picross game that is fully UFO 50 themed. It's specifically like Pilot Quest themed. It has like meta progression and stuff. I have probably played over 20 hours of this so far. It's pay what you will.
Like 12 hours in it, I think, so far.
It's insane. I mean, it's just Picross, and yeah, there isn't. It's missing some like modern like quality of life stuff, but it's very clicky. It's very lovingly made. I love the artwork. They do remixes of a lot of the songs you'd be expecting them to do remixes of from UFO 50, including a few that we covered on the UFO 50 episode recently. So yeah, we're not talking about it here beyond that, but hey, UFO 50 Nonograms rules. It's incredible. Lastly, I just want to shout out stuff like Sectori and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that got Switch 2 ports this year, but that we've already talked about on the show previously. We're probably at some point in the future going to do like a revisit episode where we go back and listen to songs that we've played before, but that we have new context for and stuff. And that would be a good time to revisit both Sectori and Rebirth and whatnot. I am very excited about doing that, but that's why we're not talking about those here. Was there anything that I missed or that you wanted to add on to those?
I don't think so. I mean, like I mentioned, Paranormicide is kind of on my backlog. Rebirth is another one I want to make sure that I play this year. Mio is another one that I want to make sure I play this year. I will say, I want to acknowledge at least Romeo is a Dead Man, which is the new Grasshopper game, and I have played it. I picked it up on PS5, but again, have not finished it. So I can't speak to it too much, although, as is typical with a lot of Grasshopper games, the music is very good. So in other words, this is just kind of like a check-in of where we are at this point halfway through the year. I wouldn't be surprised if more of this stuff that we have not covered in this episode pops up when we get to the end of the year and we're kind of talking in aggregate about our favorite things from the entire year at large. So, yeah.
Just wanted to get some of that stuff out of the way in case you're wondering why the hell we're not talking about Mio here. We just haven't played it. That's really
somebody out there is like, I can't believe you guys are sleeping on Whisper of the House.
I mean, that is the thing, right? I want to make other people aware that soundtrack is insanely good and it's a cool game, but also, leave me alone. I do know what Whisper of the House is. We come then to the actual 5 games that we're going to be talking about in a more dedicated fashion and going on breaks for. We have 5 here. Where do you want to start with this? I'll let you have the first pick.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and open up with kind of like a big obvious one that I think is probably one that people are waiting to hear about. And let's go ahead and start with Pokopia then.
Then let's go on a break for Dream Island Dragonite Doll and Sparkling Skylands Day, both from Pokemon Pokopia. And Pokopia was composed by Hiromu Akaba and Jun Kim. And we'll be right back. And again, that was Dream Island, Dragonite Doll, and Sparkling Skylands Day, both from Pokemon Pokopia. I think what I want to do real quick is let's go over the game first, and then we'll wrap back around to talking about the music. I think we did that with something else recently. I don't quite remember. So for those not aware, Pokemon Pokopia is a Pokemon spinoff that is based around building, basically. I see a lot of comparisons to Minecraft, which is very valid. The direct comparison that's easiest to make is to Dragon Quest Builders. A lot of the same people that made those two games made this. But again, that is also inspired by Minecraft, so the Minecraft comparison is apt. You are playing as Ditto, and you are trying to restore the world, basically, and bring back Pokemon to the world. Like, when you first wake up in a cave, all you see around you is Professor Tangrowth, and then the two of you kind of go about trying to restore the environment. I guess the other thing I really want to touch on is that the whole game takes place in a post-apocalyptic Kanto. That's the region where the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow were set, which does become relevant to the story and even stuff we're going to talk about in a minute. And then you kind of get the joy of seeing this familiar space, at least if you're old like us. It was a genuine shock when I started seeing hints that the starting area of Pokopia is Fuchsia.
Yeah.
And then when you start to see the other regions and see that They're all based off of a different city in the original Pokemon games. But otherwise, yeah, you're restoring habitats for Pokemon. You are building houses either out of blocks or with prefab made stuff. I don't know. Was there anything else in the generalities that I missed there that you want to touch on?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, I think texturally the only other thing to maybe mention is that not only is this a post-apocalypse where you're trying to like restore the world around you by getting Pokemon to come back into habitats and using their help to rebuild the world, but also the goal is to kind of figure out what happened to the humans of the world, because there are also no humans at all. They have like up and left, and the Pokemon are largely kind of confused as to why the humans are gone. And I think that adds like a really interesting texture to the game, because it's not only like, yeah, this post-apocalypse, like let's work together to rebuild this world that was ostensibly ruined by humans, but also kind of get to a little bit of like the heart of it, an underlying mystery, I think, in Pokopia as to like where they went and kind of what happened. There is more like story and lore in Pokopia than you would be expecting, to an almost unnecessary degree, but it wound up being like my favorite part of the game. I think the game would have been probably every bit as successful without that stuff, but I love that it's in there. Like I found that there was a shocking amount of like juicy fat for me to chew on in this, as somebody who loves stuff like that. So
Yeah, if you're a Pokemon like head, like you even like some of the lore and implications of the game, yeah, like Seth said, there's a lot going on here. The moment that specifically really got me, and this is not a spoiler, this is like a pretty small forgettable thing unless you're really keyed in the original Pokemon game, there's a dude in Vermilion who's trying to build something. Like he's having his Machop or Machoke like flatten the ground.
Yes.
And then in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which is set 3 years later, you come back and then like development has stalled there. And it's like, oh, I wanted to see what was going to be there. And then you never get to find out. We never had another game set further in the timeline in Kanto than that. But then, yeah, now with Pokopia, they did eventually build it into a tower. I forget if it was like a radio tower or something, but not only did they build that structure, they actually got their development finished. But there's even like a lore note in there from like they interviewed the son of that dude about like that man's accomplishments and stuff. And that's just like a very small, again, if you're not aware, like throwaway thing. But for like longtime Pokemon fans, I was like, oh wow, they're actually answering this very niche and goofy thing that's been in my head for 30 years.
Dude, yeah, that moment is everything Pokopia is to me. Like it is just speaks to the level of love and care for Pokemon as an IP, you know, like it is so thoughtful. Everything about the game is so thoughtful. Probably my single favorite gaming moment of the entire year so far has been getting to Bleak Beach and noticing the SS Anne off in the distance. And dude, I went over there, I found my way over to the SS Anne, and I went in there and spent like 2 hours in there, just like a fully like modeled, kind of overtaken by nature derelict SS Anne. And I just like, it was like a combatless little dungeon or something, like just navigating the interior of that, finding little treasures and recipes in there. Man, the game was singing for me at that point. I was blown away at how cool that moment was. And the game is full of moments like that. Like the game has so many cool little moments where you're just kind of like discovering places in relation to old Pokemon locations, but the way that they're recontextualized for this new game, I think it is absolutely brilliant. In addition to satisfying and meeting the needs of an audience who is kind of existing in this like post Animal Crossing New Horizons kind of world, and you know, and giving those people something to latch onto because they haven't had a new Animal Crossing thing in years at this point, you know. So it's kind of nice that like this game has come in and hit as hard as it did, and I loved it. It's still one of my favorite games of the year.
Yeah, I think this is still my favorite game of the year. We'll talk about like what I think is my number 2 so far also, but yeah, for all the reasons you said, I I think it's really the fact that there is no combat that is maybe the most striking decision to me, because even Dragon Quest Builders still had combat, and in Dragon Quest Builders 1, that was the worst part about it. Like, it was just kind of a little too simple and mindless to the point where I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish they'd just been brave enough to like just excise this entirely. In 2, they kind of fixed it by having you constantly partnered up with the character named Malroth, who was way stronger than your character. So he took care of defeating enemies like on his own mostly. So you could focus on like the best parts of the game. So then the fact that here they just completely removed it. I remember people were upset when they found out Pokemon Pokopia would have no combat or whatever. And I'm like, why? There's no humans. It's just all Pokemon. Why would the Pokemon be fighting with there's no trainers around to force them to fight or whatever? And yeah, I think that's the idea that like exploring this abandoned like cruise ship was such a highlight of the entire gaming year so far for you, despite the fact that there's never any real danger. Like, nothing can really happen to Ditto besides like falling in lava, but you just instantly respawn or whatever anyway. Like, you're not going to take damage from anything. Nothing's going to come out and like get you or whatever. But yeah, I had the same thing multiple times. Like, just the pure atmosphere, and it's something that could like only come with age, like not age from me specifically, but with the Pokemon series. Like, I've aged with the series, and that made going back and re-exploring these old areas like so rewarding, and also yeah, so sad, because I'm like, yeah, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
And then you do find out what happened. We won't get into it, but it is genuinely really sad, but also very bittersweet. Like, when you see the credits roll and how they kind of wrap things up, at least for now. I'm assuming they will cover more stuff in these expansions that they're doing, but genuinely very bittersweet and cute. And yeah, this is just all around amazing package. I would be remiss to not mention that the game is so good that my wife is now a content creator. She started her own YouTube channel, and so far she's gonna be doing more stuff, but so far has only uploaded Pokopia build videos. They're very, very fascinating to watch. Like, even though I sit here and watch her play Pokopia a lot of the time, the scale of her ideas just keeps getting bigger and bigger, to the point where she's like recreating an Animal Crossing village in Pokemon Pokopia at this point. So go check that out. Shout out to Pastel Arcade. But I just think that's like it's magical. The fact that like it's made my wife so excited about creating stuff in a video game, that she's doing something that I think as little as like 6 months ago she never would have thought she would be doing. That is the quality and appeal of Pokemon Pokopia. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about like the game itself. When it comes to the songs we played, the Dream Island, Dragonite Doll, and Sparkling Skylands Day, hey, yeah, the soundtrack is also amazing in this game, and is also chock full of like Gen 1 rearrangements of Pokemon songs. But it's oftentimes like kind of borderline unrecognizable ways, but I say that in a complimentary way. But with the Dream Island Dragonite Doll, it is very recognizable. It just is a straight up like kind of beach rock rearrangement of like Professor Oak's like Welcome to the World of Pokemon speech music, right? Though I will say, when I was making notes for this morning, it just kind of sounds like a how-to video, like background music for like how to deal with different types of chemical spills at a workplace. I was thinking it would be very funny to have Boogs do a voiceover bit for this, like, firmly situate your company-issued safety goggles over your eyes. It would have been a very good bit.
It does kind of, which I guess is appropriate, that it does kind of sound like that. Yeah. He's like, kind of is what's happening. It is an instruction, sort of an instructional video after all. Yeah, it is funny. Like, I really love that about this game, like taking these new arrangements of these classic Kanto themes and making them into their own new thing. But one thing that I really appreciate about this one in particular is that it has sort of made the decision to have this kind of triumphant, I don't know, like energy to it. It's very drum forward. It's kind of horn forward and string forward. I really appreciate that, because I think that it would be easy with this sort of stuff when you're playing into like nostalgia and when you're rearranging kind of old things that a lot of your audience are going to have nostalgia for, especially in the context of a post-apocalyptic game. I think it would have been easy for them to kind of like lean into the almost like sad or whimsical nostalgia or something. But with this, it's like, no, man, like it's almost saying like this world is awesome and like worth restoring. And that's kind of conveyed in the music. I think that's so good. There's also a really funny thing with this song in particular. So Dream Islands are kind of like these little instanced islands that you can go to mostly to farm for resources, but you can also find like little secret stuff that are exclusive to these Dream Islands, and you access them by way of finding these Pokemon dolls, this one being the Dragonite doll. There's a very funny thing they do with this song where they put alarm clock sounds in it in a couple of spots, and I found that extremely funny because there is a in the Sparkling Skylands biome, there is a little kind of like side quest or something that you can do for Dragonite where he just wants a bunch of alarm clocks in his habitat for some reason. And I thought they were very funny for putting alarm clock sounds in the Dragonite doll music.
Yeah, I didn't clock that until I didn't even mean to do that, but I didn't notice that until I was reading YouTube comments yesterday. And then, yeah, when you listen with headphones, it is very easy to hear the alarm clock sounds, but I hadn't done that until this morning. So yeah, I noticed that too. That is a good bit. I think the reason he wants the alarm clocks is just to make sure he wakes up on time. I think that's the only reason he wants like 5 of them. But yeah, 5 alarm clocks is a very good bit. Yeah, I don't have too many other notes that we didn't already cover on this one. I will say I don't think I ever realized how nostalgic this specific original song, again, the Welcome to the World of Pokemon, whatever you want to call this. I think they also play this on like the Nugget Bridge in Pokemon Red and Blue or whatever. I never really like considered this song, I guess, in the same way I do like the battle themes or like some of the town themes or even other route themes or whatever. But this really might actually be my most nostalgic Gen 1 song, and I never realized it until now. Like, I vividly remember playing Pokemon Blue for the first time in my grandma's living room and naming my dude and picking Charmander and stuff, all because of like this song playing. Like, this probably is my favorite rearrangement of this song ever. Yeah, I think otherwise I already got all my notes out of the way with this one. Did you have anything else?
No, yeah, you pretty much nailed it. I will just say that for me, the coolest confrontations with nostalgia for me are the ones like that, where you hit something and you're like, oh man, this is more nostalgic than I realized for me. I love that feeling. Yeah.
Right, like, Pallet Town, obviously super nostalgic and whatever, but yeah, this song, and maybe it's just, again, because of age and my brain changing over the years, but yeah, this song and, well, this rearrangement and the original version of it are I don't know, they're hitting me now more than I ever realized that they would. For Sparkling Skylands Day, this is probably full on my favorite song in Pokopia.
Me too.
This is from like the last story area you get to in the game, which ends up being like the destroyed version of Saffron City, which is where like the Silphco building is. That's like the big skyscraper you're trying to restore as the main story thing in this area. But yeah, when you first get to the Sparkling Skylands, and because again, the game is kind of structured to where you can go to like do what you want in the other 3 areas in like whatever order you want, but you can't get to Sparkling Skylands until you've done the main story stuff through to completion in the other areas. And I was already loving the game up to this point. It was already like one of my favorite games like ever, honestly, at that point. But then you get to Sparkling Skylands and you see there's like floating islands, floating land masses on like crystals in the sky in the background.
So cool.
You see these like lifts that they expect you to take to get to the different land masses in the sky. I was like, what is this? The grass is pink for some reason. It really was like such an oh shit moment in, again, this game that has no combat, has no real like stress or whatever beyond being overwhelmed with build ideas or whatever. It has no direct confrontation or friction with you in that way. And the fact that they can elicit that out of me in this non-violent, like cute Pokemon game is very impressive.
It's like kind of avant-garde, like in a weird way. Like it's these sky islands that have these towering structures of compacted trash, and and like this kind of, I guess the implication is just that like some sort of psychic eruption happened or something that like decimated this city and made it like fragment into islands, and there are just waterfalls that go nowhere, and it's like this weirdly liminal but like quiet kind of place. And I don't know, man, like it is by far my favorite zone in the game, and I'm with you. As much as I was already loving the game, like getting here was when I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy. And like getting to just kind of explore this space. And yeah, the pink grass, dude, the fact that the grass is pink, something about that pink grass, it really adds to an almost like otherworldly, like a dream. Like my read on that was like whatever psychic energy was happening here was so powerful that it even like sort of infected the nature or something of the world around it. Yeah, very cool area.
Yeah, the whole dreamlike quality just like permeates through the whole area, and the music and stuff. It is worth noting that like when you restore an area, like you finish the storyline of an area, they'll play a version of the music that sounds more like the original. Like they'll play when you fix like the volcano area, they play a Mount Moon or a Vermilion City remix there, or whatever that sounds less abstract and less avant-garde. And they do that here too, but even like the fixed version of the song still is more avant-garde, to me at least, than the other fixed areas music is. When it comes to notes on the actual song, I don't have too much. I do really like the bubbly, almost like Rugrats synth that starts up around 58 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the melody that follows that just is Pokopia to me. Like when I think of the music in Pokopia, that's the part that I'm going to think of for the rest of my life. Unless they add some real insane music in the DLC down the road. But as of right now, like that's just my go-to Pokopia thing. And then, the only other note I really had was that I like how as the song progresses, they do add more, like less synthy instruments. They have like a simple like guitar thing going on. Because to me, that feels like as you're progressing, rebuilding this zone, it's becoming more real. It's becoming less like a pie in the sky dream, and it's becoming a little bit more real, even though it is like, Ditto can only do so much. Like we can't rebuild like the entirety of it. I mean, you can if you're dedicated, but I fix up a few things and then I'm like, I'm out of here for now. Maybe I'll come back later. But yeah, I just think that's so cool. The idea of like, you have your vision of what you want to do to repair this place, and you try and make that real as much as you can, even if you're not as good at this game's building as my wife is or whatever.
That's such a good point, dude, because I think that the really cool thing that this game does is that you would think that in the progression of something like this being what it is, you are ostensibly going to these areas, fixing them up or returning them to their former glory, bringing Pokemon back, blah, blah, blah. You would think in terms of progression that when you got through the game, got more forms as Ditto, got access to more Pokemon, blah, 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 that would all get easier. But it's kind of the exact opposite. Like when you get to the Sparkling Skylands, it's kind of like this insurmountable challenge of like, oh man, we're gonna rebuild this like skyscraper, this massive like multi-story skyscraper. We're gonna reconnect these islands with like lifts and stuff. Like, how are we gonna do this? And it kind of feels like this massive effort. And despite this being like kind of the end of the game, and I really love that. I love that the game is never like pulling its punches in terms of what it's asking you to do. And I don't know, I think that's very important to the kind of tone of like, let's all get together and fix up this ruined world kind of vibe. I'd never really thought about that seriously until you had just said that. So I think that's a really good point. For me, I mean, you covered a lot of what I love about this song too, but this is basically like Nintendo Wii system music. So I like it. You know, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, I do think it's kind of cool that as you mentioned, like you start working in like flutes and acoustic guitar and stuff as the thing progresses. But you're right. I think what they're trying to sell there is that the dream is kind of becoming less of a dream and more like bringing it more into focus or something. I think that's exactly what they're going for. Yeah.
Really, really cool game. Believe the hype on this one. Like, this is one of the best games, not only on the Switch 2, but that Nintendo has like ever put out to me personally. I think it's kind of a miracle this exists and is this cool. Also, if you couldn't tell, I'm a huge fan of Dragon Quest Builders 2 specifically. And when a lot of that team left Square or whatever, I forget if they even were at Square or if I think they were, but it basically was that the director of those games was no longer going to be working on Dragon Quest Builders. I think we found out, and that made me so sad because I really wanted to see a Builders 3, and this basically is just Builders 3 but with Pokemon, so it actually sold well outside Japan.
Right. Yeah, isn't that funny? That was kind of like a lot of the Dragon Quest Builders fans when this came out. It's like, yeah, man, there are other games that were good like this and had a lot of these ideas. You just didn't play them because they were Dragon Quest games.
Seriously, if you loved Pokopia and you want more, check out Dragon Quest Builders 2. I think you can even, on the demo, you can even play the whole first chapter of the game, which is probably like 10 to 15 hours, like conservatively. You will probably like Builders 2 if you really love Pokopia, is my guess.
Yeah, I kind of intend on playing Builders 2 next year, I think. And I mean, it'd be great if they did like a Switch 2 version of that. That'd be cool. But
yeah, the Switch version does run into some framey stuff. It would be, I mean, I guess the Switch 2 already would kind of fix some of that anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice if they get a native version of that up and running. I would certainly, even though it's Square and I'd probably have to pay full price for it again, that is one I would actually probably be willing to do that for. Next up, then, I guess I will choose. I think we're going to go with The Wide Open Sky is Running Out of Catfish as my first choice for this. This was composed by Charlie Kilgore, and we're going to be playing Wind Sock and Isabella Avenue. Again, from The Wide Open Sky is Running Out of Catfish, and we'll be right back. Windsock. I'm really trying to make sure I enunciate the wind in Windsock there.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's Windsock. Windsock and Isabella Avenue, both from The Wide Open Sky, is running out of Catfish. Probably the least well-known game that we're talking about on this episode, I'd say is a safe bet.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I got to review this game for So Many Games, and then because we have a shared account, you also were interested in playing it. You ended up interviewing the developers. It was a very, very nice, lovely, charming conversation. Just a very lovely, nice, charming game, honestly, all around. The elevator pitch I would do for this is kind of like Pokemon Snap meets Myst, kind of. Now, give me the room to explain this, dear listener. Don't go crazy yet. Don't go in expecting like the photography mechanics and whatever to be to a degree of like a full-on photography game. Photography is a big element of the story and whatever here, but it's not like the gameplay is not the focus of this. This is more of like a story and vibes based game. It just happens to have like a photography element that is decently important to it. The Myst portion comes in, to me at least, because it's first person. It's pretty what's the word, not quite whimsical, but very like abstract. There's a lot of things that are never outright said in this game that you are kind of left to intuit, and there's a bigger like puzzle focus going on, especially in like the second and third areas. So that's where I'm coming down on with that Myst times Pokemon Snap comparison. But again, don't take those as like one-to-one. Broad strokes, this is a game where you are playing as the child of a witch. You and your mom grew up on the back of or rather you grew up with your mom on the back of a giant catfish named Catfish that flies through the sky. There are just other giant fish also in the sky that you'll end up meeting throughout the game. You're back home for the summer after a year of going to college down on Earth. Catfish lets you know that he's dying, and then your mom has disappeared, and you don't know what the hell is going on. You're kind of left to figure things out on your own. It's all very scary. You have the support of your two friends that you talk to over instant messenger on the computer that has an internet connection. Again, I also bring in some light Hypnospace Outlaw comparisons with this game, because you do have to browse like a fake internet and read blog posts and stuff to progress and have chats with people. That was my favorite part of the game, obviously. And yeah, it's just otherwise a very charming and beautiful game, kind of about like life and the people that you choose to spend life with, and the beauty in that, and the beauty in mortality, basically, as you try and figure out where the hell your mom went and what she's up to. Did I miss anything in the broad strokes there? I feel like I did. I was dumb and I didn't write any summaries ahead of time of any of these games when I feel like I should have.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. It's a tough game to kind of explain, and it's also a very like surrealist concept. I mean, people might be listening to you talk about all of that and being like, well, hang on, like, this is a photography game that takes place on the back of a giant catfish that also is about like the impermanence of life and, you know, all of these like existential things. But yeah, it is all of those things. And I thought that it was, I mean, it really moved me, this game. Like I really, really connected to it in a big way. And one thing that, just to underline your Myst comparison, one thing that I think is really cool about this game that does remind me a lot of something like Myst is how tactile it is, how analog it is, how like, I don't know, like you get this flute that you have to use to solve various puzzles, and you have to like manually, you know, kind of play the flute with like number keys on your keyboard, and you know, you have to like manually do a lot of things that you wouldn't otherwise. Your camera has a battery that you have to manually go back home and like recharge and stuff. And there's a lot of cool game design reasons for a lot of these things, but I think it also just adds to that kind of very, like, when I think about Myst, I think of like physically interacting with the world around you, and kind of like, you know, opening little drawers and drawing symbols and stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think about. And I think that really is well served in this game also, in a way that I find very cool and fun. But it also does have a little bit of that Pokemon Snap energy in that, like, you're kind of solving little problems to access more fish in the sky, return fish to the sky, and like kind of further your research of what has happened. Yeah. Very, very, I didn't really know what to expect going into this game, but so many of the decisions that they made, so much of the writing is so excellent, and yeah, the music is so excellent. I was totally smitten with this game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up, like how you interact with objects in the world and stuff. Yeah, the fact that your digital camera has to be recharged by putting it on its dock or whatever.
Yeah.
I know you talked about that in your interview with the devs, but that's ended up being one of my favorite things about the game. Because
Same.
it really made me like consider things that I otherwise wouldn't have, and to kind of agonize over the fact that, like, oh, I just missed what I think would have been a pretty cool shot, but that kind of ties into the themes of impermanence and, well, who cares? What if I did get that shot? What does it really matter in the grand scheme of things anyway? And then, but from a basic gameplay function, it's also just kind of fun. It's kind of fun having to remember to put the camera in the dock to charge it. Then you go to the PC. It's almost like ritualistic in that way. And then you're doing whatever you need to do on the PC at that moment. And I can't tell you how many times, probably nearly every time, I would go back out and then realize I forgot to pick up my camera from the dock, and then have to go back and pick the camera back up. Even little things like when you get like these threatening faxes in, and the fact that they're actual physical objects that you can like pick up, and you can even print off pictures that you take physically, and the fact that they are actual physical objects that you can move around and place in the world. I really love that tiny little detail, I think that's all I really want. Oh, I should mention also, you mentioned how good the writing is. If anything, as much as I like the soundtrack, I do think the writing is the best part of this game.
Yeah.
As a big fan of like taking screenshots of text that I find very prescient and relatable in video games, I think my screenshot folder of this game had like a few dozen in there. Really beautiful game, worth playing just for the story. I don't know if you're interested, like, listen to Seth's interview with the devs or watch it on YouTube. It's very, very good.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot anybody could take away from this. It's a very, very human story, and I would recommend it to just about anybody. I do hope they find a way to kind of get this thing over onto consoles. I think this would be great to have on like the Switch. I'd be happy to replay it. But I don't know if that's it. This is made by two people. This is a very, very like, small scale thing. So, but yeah, I really loved it. When it comes to the music then, or the songs that we chose here, Windsock to me is kind of the theme song of the game. Like this is the song that I think of when I think of this game. Like that opening main melody of this, it's basically the main menu theme of Ocarina of Time. It basically is that. And I wanted to bring that up specifically because for all of for all of our comments on Ocarina of Time over the years, that main menu song in particular, with like Epona and like just those gentle like harp strums, and then that ocarina passage comes in, that song and that main menu in particular is about as nostalgic as it gets to me. Like, and I think that in the context of this game kind of evoking that, I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I have to imagine it was, because I think it works so well with this game's tone in particular, just having that like kind of allusion to something that you probably know. I don't know, that really worked for me.
I mean, as much junk as I talk about Ocarina of Time, I love that game 20 years ago or 25 years ago. It's a fantastic video game for its time. It's still a pretty good video game. So I don't want anyone to take away from the fact that, or take away from what we talk about to be Matt and Seth don't like Ocarina of Time.
Right.
I'm gonna play that remake. It's probably gonna be great. Like, I have no issue with it. But to your point about how iconic that title screen is, I've been ranting at anyone that would listen, and now I get another chance to rant at maybe my biggest audience. Yo, when they revealed this in the direct, the remake of Ocarina of Time, I mean, it should have just been that. It should just been the redone title screen with like the build up and then Link riding Epona galloping across the thing. It would have, that's maybe even less than they actually showed us, but also would have hit me personally way harder than just seeing like sleeping young Link or whatever. I think that would have been such a statement, and just like have that and then just 2026, boom, I don't need to see anything else because it's not like you showed me anything more than that anyway.
Maybe my favorite main menu title screen of all time.
Ooh, that could be a whole episode, or at least a mini.
Yeah.
The only ones I can think of otherwise would be like Metroid Prime, like kind of all of them. Honestly, all 4 of them have really good title screen, but at least music, not necessarily the actual like the actual title screen. I'll say Xenoblade 1 specifically,
really good. Yeah,
maybe is actually my number 1. I'm not even a Xenoblade guy, but that main title,
that would be a fun idea for a mini. We should write that down. Yeah,
damn, who's making this show? I don't get it. When it comes to Windsock, to get back to that, I didn't have too many notes about this, but I will say, I told you earlier, the cat woke me up at like 6 a.m. and then I just decided to get my notes done early for this episode. And yeah, I'm sitting here at the desk listening with headphones into all of these songs. And as like, the sun rises pretty early here in the summer. It's like 4:30. The sun's already like coming up over here. But still, like, the sun is still pretty low in the sky, and it's like a quiet, like very early summer day. And hearing this music, even if I hadn't played the game, it just took me back to like being 18 and like staying up all night, not even for any nefarious purposes, but just like, oh, I have youth and vigor, and it's summer and I accidentally stayed up all night and I'm seeing the sunrise. Whoops, my bad. But like, I get to see this beautiful moment. That's kind of what Windsock does for me. It's funny that you talked about Ocarina of Time specifically with like what they're evoking, which I don't think is wrong. In fact, I think that's very accurate. But when I hear the specific, like the flute notes and whatever, I'm also specifically thinking of the warp whistle from Mario 3.
Yeah.
You do use the flute in like the second and third areas to actually warp around between like different areas to get around. So that's also what I was thinking of with this. But yeah, Ocarina of Time is also a perfect comparison. The last note I had here on the music was just, it's kind of like an Animal Crossing song, but for an Animal Crossing game where you're also going on adventures. It's kind of the vibe that it gives me. And just a really great song. And yeah, I agree, this is probably the most iconic song from this game. I think they used it as the trailer music too. Like, very deserving for us to cover it on this episode. Basically kind of like my one demand, I guess, besides the Bubsy song in this episode, was we had to do Isabella Avenue from Catfish. I'm just gonna call it Catfish from now on. I don't want to read off the whole name every time. This is easily my favorite song from Catfish. There was just no way this wasn't going in here. Like, this has been in my head since I played this back in like March or April, whenever it came out. I think this plays in like the second zone, like the second area you're in.
Yep.
It's either when you first get there or after you unleash like the seal or all the fish or whatever. I forget exactly where it plays, but I just remember I played through this whole game in one sitting. This was the moment where I really knew, like, oh, like this is really doing it for me. Like that's where like the story is meeting the vibes, is meeting the visual imagery, is meeting the music, and it all coalesced into this moment that I really, really like. I don't have too many notes on the song specifically. I'll shout out that at 124, when that high-pitched synth comes in, it is such a Napoleon Dynamite jam. And I think my most toxic trait is that I still have a lot of love for Napoleon Dynamite. I watched the Minecraft movie just because Jared Hess directed it, and The best part about that movie was the first 20 minutes when it kind of feels like a bigger budget Napoleon Dynamite before they go to the Minecraft world.
I still haven't seen it. Yeah, I kind of still want to, in a weird, like, curious way, but I still have not seen it. So,
It's fine. It's also It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but it's also not better than I was expecting.
Sure. Yeah. I think you're right. I think this song happens when you, when you kind of like fulfill and you release all of those fish, in that second area. And yeah, it's funny, something that that I talked about with them when I interviewed them were some of the like non-game inspirations. I'm always fascinated by that, and they talked about Ponyo, specifically the Ghibli movie Ponyo. And they used the word abundance, like the sense of abundance that it has, which I love, and I totally understood what they meant right away. And I think that this moment, this song, and like all of that contextually is abundance. Like, this song is abundance. It has so much texture to it. It really builds, it really kind of like unleashes itself. I love that the song kind of like fills itself out as it goes on, and then by the time you get to kind of the end movements, like from really 229 onward, with that kind of key solo, it feels like the song has like fully filled out, firing on all cylinders, and then it kind of calms us back down to end. It's got things like the finger snaps, which are great. It's got that like jaw harp sounding stuff, which really gives it this like kind of funky flavor that it wouldn't have otherwise. And I love it. This definitely is the most interesting like song in the entire thing. And I think that moment is definitely a standout moment of just almost like a life and color being brought back to the sky. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, the last note I had to bring it back to Napoleon Dynamite was, what you're talking about, that 229 through like 250 something ish.
Yeah.
That was like Napoleon Dynamite grew up and became cool. Like, he started smoking and wearing leather jackets. Don't take that the wrong. I'm not saying smoking is cool. Don't start smoking. I'm
Smoking's
just saying
cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying do it. I've never smoked in my life. I'm just saying Don Draper is a very handsome man, and I think why are we talking about Don Draper so much recently? We just did that. Anyway, don't start smoking, but it's like if Napoleon Dynamite grew up and became cool because of cigarettes.
Smoking's bad for you, but it is objectively kind of cool.
It's disgusting, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but if you're gonna do it, at least like dress cool when you're doing it and make it look good. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yep. No, really good.
No, go ahead.
No, I love I love the sort of anti-smoking PSA that we have managed to work into this, but I also just I hope that people feel encouraged by hearing these to check this game out, because
I thought you were gonna say you go check out smoking.
I hope that people do feel encouraged to pick up a pack of Marlboro Reds and smoke it up. No, play Catfish. It's really, really good. It's only on Steam right now, but really good. And like Matt mentioned, you can very easily play through this full thing in like 1 or 2 sittings. And I think that you would take a lot away from it as a human being on this planet.
Genuinely, all jokes aside about cigarettes and how we're the worst podcast on earth, I genuinely really liked this game, and it really gave me a lot to think about. I did a whole review for it up at So Many Games. If you're interested in seeing that, it is like the most introspective I've ever been about like writing a review for a video game, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's a really neat game, and yeah, I would totally buy this if it came to Switch or PlayStation even. Really, really cool game. Please go check out The Wide Open Sky is running out of Catfish. With that said, Seth, what is your next pick for a game to go on a break for?
Let's go for Wax Heads next. Let's do that.
This is a pure Seth pick. I'm going to be relying on him entirely for this.
Sure.
Besides these two songs, I know nothing about this game, but I do quite like these two songs. So, Waxheads, composed by Gina Laughlin, and we got Give Yourself Up to the Music, and Whispering Fog, Aiko Suzuki from Waxheads as your break music, and we'll be back.
You spend your days repeating the same phrase over and over and over again. Will you ever make it to the end? And those mistakes are staring you in the face. But when you look around, they're all wrapped up in sound and haven't noticed you forgot to concentrate. So get out of your mind and let your hands lead this time. Leave all those worries behind and give yourself up to the music. Yeah, get out of
again, that was Give Yourself Up to the Music and Whispering Fog, Aiko Suzuki. Is that the full title of the song, or is Aiko Suzuki like a contributor or something to that song? I have no idea.
So Wax Heads takes place it's entirely in a record store. Like the very, very safe and easy pitch for Wax Heads would be to say that it's like Coffee Talk, but in a record store. Being that you work as a record store employee, customers come in, they kind of tell you specific things, and it's up to you to kind of suss out what album they're looking for. And anyway, within the context of the game, there are probably a couple dozen like fake in fiction artists that that kind of crop up again and again, and several of them, maybe half or more of them, are represented musically in the game, and one of them is Aiko Suzuki, who has a couple of tracks in the game. And yeah, there are several kind of fictional bands that they have gone out of their way to not only like realize in the context of the game's in-world fiction, but also like musically, and explore a ton of different genres. And I specifically chose an Aiko Suzuki track because it is so different from a lot of the other kind of like indie rock punk kind of energy that the game has. It's very unique. So I wanted to make sure we represented kind of the variety of Wax Heads.
Is there much you want to talk about with the game as a game, or should we just launch into the music?
I mean, here's what I'll say about the game itself. So I did a full long play on my YouTube channel for Wax Heads, and I really connected with this game a lot. I really was moved by it in terms of just, you know, I think this game is the definition of the phrase like bigger than the sum of its parts. Like you would hear from a kind of visual novel perspective, or like the perspective of a very dialogue heavy kind of puzzle game, you would hear that and think that the game would be a lot more simplistic than it is. But like this game has got so much heart. There's a story kind of underpinning the entire thing, where you're this new employee at a record store, but the owner of the record store is like an like kind of famous rock star herself, and she had a big falling out with her sister, who she was also in the band with. And there's this kind of like tension from both the landlord of the record store, who is threatening to sell it, and the person threatening to buy it, who is another ex-bandmate of hers, who is spinning up like an AI music platform kind of thing. So the game has this way of commenting on like familial drama and reconnection, the, I guess, importance of community as everybody in the community comes to know and love this record store, and the way that you're contributing to that, and the way that music kind of connects all of us in that way. And yeah, it's commenting on very real things that are actual struggles in the music industry, like AI. And yeah, I was just very taken by how much this game punches above its weight in terms of content, world building, the amount of like work that has gone into the game for a very small team, but also the little like unique ways that the game differentiates itself. And this is kind of a good segue into that title track, because Give Yourself Up to the Music, you know, that is like the main menu song of the game. It's kind of like the game's theme song, I guess, if there is one. Kind of sells you on the tone of the game straight away. It's got this kind of like British rock, you know, kind of energy to it. And the game itself is like set in the UK. It's got that kind of entire tonality. But there's a little kind of like side quest thread or something that runs throughout the game, where every now and then you'll encounter a customer who is part of the Wax Pack, who is this kind of like underground, like secret society of like vinyl music collectors and stuff. And when they show up, you can know they wear like a patch, like a Wax Pack patch. And you know that they're going to request something that you're kind of looking for little clues about. And there's like a secret code that you can give them when you help them that will unlock a kind of like hidden, usually a like full motion video secret kind of performance or something, which is fun. Like it's a very fun little secret thing. And anyway, one of the wax pack unlocks that you can find is a secret like live acoustic performance of this song that is performed by Gina Laughlin and her husband Will Laughlin. And it's just them in like their living room sitting on a couch while he's playing the acoustic guitar and she is singing this song. And it is one of the cutest things I have ever seen in a video game. Like, it really, like that, I think that was the moment where I was like, I love this game. Like, I was really enjoying it up until that point, but I think that was the moment where the game really sort of penetrated my icy heart and made me really fall in love with everything it was doing. It they really put so much of themselves into this thing and into this world. And yeah, I love it. And I think that like with this song in particular, you know, really I don't have a lot to say about the music itself, but really the lyrics are what hit me so hard about it. Like, the theme of the song is kind of also the theme of the game, this notion of letting music take you to a place of respite away from the struggles of being a human in the modern world. I wrote down my favorite line, which is, "'Cause you've got more to say than the notes that you failed to play. So we'll embrace imperfection, accept the fact that we're human, and being messy makes it more fun anyway." What a great line. What a great little verse. I just, yeah, I know this is kind of like an obvious pick for people who have played Wax Heads, but it had to make it into the episode.
I think I like mixing some obvious with non-obvious for this kind of stuff anyway, especially because this isn't Pokemon Pokopia, you know, like
Right.
people aren't fully aware of this game in the way that they would be for something like that. So I think if you're trying to elevate or pitch it, I think using what is basically the theme song of the game, I think that's good. Also, personally, I just love it when we get to talk about any video game song on this podcast with like guitar stuff as crunchy as this.
Yeah.
Like, it is just like 90s, like even grunge adjacent, like crunchiness. Like, I love that. Like you said, I don't have too much else to say about the actual music. And yes, the line you had was also my favorite line in the song, though. I also really liked just get out of your mind. You might just have a good time.
Yeah.
That is extremely relatable. I know that it's not like that's saying anything super unique or whatever, but the biggest truths usually are not unique anyway. Yeah, that's something I had to learn over the years, is just like, hey, just stop worrying so much and it's probably going to be fine. And it might even be good. It might be better than fine. It could even be good. And if not, whatever. It's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I really appreciated that in a pretty short span of time, this song has a complete story and arc to tell. Again, obviously, I know that is the purpose of most songs and music, but it just felt really front and center here in a way that I don't always get to see, especially in the field of like video game music, right? So,
Right.
yeah, that all sounds cool. Did you have any other notes then about Give Yourself Up to the Music?
No, yeah, really good. In the acoustic version, also really good. I think that you would appreciate this game in a sort of Hypnospace Outlaw kind of way, in the way that game also in its world building, like, has a lot of fictional bands and stuff like this, and like it really has like a fully fleshed out kind of texture. That I think is my favorite thing about this game, and I think you would vibe with that. There's like this entire arc with like a pop star named Mimi who like has her own albums, and there's a bunch of like super fans of her, and she like, you know, goes through the ebbs and flows. Like, she catches a lot of flack for hiring a ghostwriter or something, and then she kind of falls off, but then she like finds her way back in by doing a movie soundtrack that kind of is like unexpectedly good. And anyway, there's like a lot of like little things like that really remind me of Hypnospace Outlaw, and I think you would vibe with that piece of it.
I mean, yeah, you saying it's like coffee talk but in a record shop, that already sounds pretty damn good to me.
Yeah.
I've been so busy and there's been so many games this year. This wasn't even on my radar, but yeah, I've been seeing you upload your Let's Play to it. I like the style it's going for. Again, now that I've heard some of the music, I quite like the music. I mean, yeah, I'll say about Whispering Fog, this is one of my favorite songs that we're playing this whole episode. Like this instantly went on to my personal video game music playlist. I love, and I guess this is probably the idea given the name, but it's almost got like a Silent Hill vibe going on.
Yeah.
I really like that simple guitar coupled with the sound of like waves on the shoreline and stuff. But then the fact that like this song sounds as muffled as it does, it sounds like it's being kind of absorbed into fog, even though, you know, it's just playing back to you. Yeah, no, I loved it. This was a really, really cool song.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that Aiko Suzuki is kind of like this game's take on somebody like a Rei Harakami, just like very ambient and interpretive and calming and stuff, and like it has that kind of energy. But yeah, like the fog piece of it is so like evocative of the tone, like very naturalistic. Yeah, the water sounds are cool. You got a lot of flute and kind of like soft, ethereal vocals. I really, this is a standout song for me. I really love this one. It is always in my rotation. One of the things that you can do in your kind of in-game day is you can go into the sort of store's in-game jukebox called the Suffering Jukebox, and you can set up every day you unlock a new song for the Suffering Jukebox, and you can kind of like make a little playlist that plays throughout the day. And this one was always in my rotation. Like I would boot up a new day after unlocking Whispering Fog, and I would always add it to the day's playlist. Really good.
You know, as someone that likes music a lot, I always thought the coolest part about working at like a record shop would be curating your own playlist to force other people to listen to. So
yes,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So when I worked at GameStop, we used to do that. We used to have access to kind of like the audio system in there, and we could like hook our phones up to it, MP3 player, whatever, and play music in the store. And that was so nice. And that was like one of my favorite parts about working there in the early days. And yeah, I would often get into cool conversations with customers about music. They're like, oh, this is good. Like, what is this? And it was kind of nice, just nice and like a fun part of working there. Then they installed that stupid GameStop TV and we weren't allowed to do it anymore. And we just had to listen to this dude named Captain Redbeard. And it was awful. And I hated it. I miss those days. And, you know, another very cute thing that this game does, rather than a traditional like end credits roll, the game actually, they have drawn like characters for all of the people that worked on the game, and they like come up to the counter, say what they did on the game, and also give you a few music recommendations based on their taste.
Oh, that's actually super cool. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Like just a very neat touch. I was like, oh damn, like this is a really cool way of handling like end credits. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed Wax Heads, and it definitely has stuck with me. I am talking to the developers now, hoping to interview them sometime soon too. So maybe be on the lookout for that. And yeah, it's been a total standout for me this year.
If only we were doing Bit Harmony when you worked at GameStop back then, you could have just played Bit Harmony over the GameStop speaker.
That would be interesting. See how that goes.
Kids are gonna be dropped off by their absent parents and then learn how cool smoking is and then go back. For this next break, then, I guess let's do something a little bit different. Let's do Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. This was composed by Toru Minegishi, Shinobu Nagata, Raika Nakai, and Kairi Hamada. We're going to be playing Wear and Wear Clothing and Studio Workshop Palette House from Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Matt, and that was Wear and Wear Clothing, and Studio Workshop Palette House from Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. I don't even really know how to elevator pitch Tomodachi Life if you're not fully aware of what it is. It's kind of like a goof-off game. It's barely a game, at least the original. I think to be fair, Living the Dream is more of a structured game to me than the original, at least a little. But you said this before, it's kind of like Sea Monkeys. Yeah? You are creating Mies and you are giving them different personality quirks. You're feeding them different food to level them up and see what they like and dislike. And you're just kinda letting them live on the island and see what they get up to. How they interact with other Mies, see who they get romantically interested in. For this new one, they also allow you to edit the layout of the island itself. I personally think the biggest change they made with this game from the first is allowing you to make things. From what I remember in the original Tomodachi Life. Yeah, you basically just made the Mies, but you weren't making the objects for them to have. Right? My wife spent 45 minutes making our cat Cookie in the game, in pixel form, and now there is a non-animated pixelated cat that looks like our cat jumping around in the game. The game is basically just pure expression, but it leans towards the humor side of things more than something like Pokopia. Yes, you know? A lot has been made about Tomodachi Life Living the Dream and Nintendo's perhaps archaic stance on sharing stuff. They do not give you any tools to capture video or anything like that and share that with other users, nor can you share creations directly with other users, which you could in the original game on 3DS and Miitopia, another game similar to this. But the clear reason they've done that? Since Nintendo has kinda washed their hands of that, it does allow for the most freeform player expression imaginable. Everything is on the table. You can make these Mies do or say whatever you want, with no restrictions. The game will never tell you you can't do that. Something about that is kind of funny. It is very stupid and funny how much smoking has come up in this episode. Ha 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 ha. But one of the things that I did was make a custom food item that just looked like a pack of Marlboro Reds, and I called it ciggies. And my entire island is addicted to ciggies. My whole island just loves eating cigarettes, and that has been kind of fun to watch.
Especially when, you know, some of my island residents are children. So it's you know, it's really funny. It kind of is like a goof simulator. Like you can just kind of like, you know, it's a hotbed for funny and silly moments. And quite frankly, you know, Nintendo has not realistically stopped anybody from sharing things in this game because it's blown up over like TikTok and whatever anyways. So
my assumption with that is they just didn't want kids having easy access to seeing the more depraved things going on, as opposed to thinking people weren't going to still be sharing it. I think that's all it really was. And they're probably right. I'll also say this is not depraved. And my wife is like 10 feet away from me listening to this right now. I'm sure she's going to be laughing to herself. When my wife was making me in the game, you know, she obviously made a version of herself and a version of me. I was having to really confront my own identity and how I feel about myself watching her make my me. A thing about me that I like, people always say my entire life, everyone has always been like, oh, you look so much like your dad. Like everyone, as far back as I can remember, has always said that. And I saw it like a little, but I never saw a ton of that. Like, I'm like, yeah, I see like the general facial structure and whatever.
Sure.
I didn't see it that much. When my wife was making me in the game, I'm like, holy shit, this looks more like my dad than I do. Like, I was like, I guess I do actually look like this. My wife would know better than anyone.
Damn. Ego death.
She also, yes, it was the absolute epitome of ego death via Tomodachi Life, living the dream. You know, you can also give your Mii's catchphrases and whatever. And she made mine, I can always eat. And then another really funny thing, because she's playing the game in German and like it, so they'll speak, you know, more natural sounding German when you're playing it in German versus whatever. So some of the English doesn't come out right because obviously she wants my characters saying English phrases. So he has like a slight German accent in this robo voice for him. He's like, I can always eat.
That rules.
But yeah, it's funny. My wife's put like nearly 100 hours into this already. Like she has played the hell out of it. She literally a couple days ago was making Picard and Data from Star Trek The Next Generation on her island. The Data is like eerily realistic, which is perfect for Data, who already looks eerie with his weird silver yellow makeup and whatnot. Yeah, really, really neat game. But yeah, don't go into this if you're not looking to like make your own fun with those creation tools.
Yeah, you have to kind of know what you're getting into. Although I will say one thing that I think that this game does have over the original in a way that I felt pretty quickly was that in the original game, because you had so much more limited customization tools, I found that like in the original game, which I played a bunch of on 3DS, I just kind of made like video game characters or like friends and family and stuff. In this game, I made like OCs for the first time really ever, and I really enjoyed doing that. Like I made this guy, his name was Hugh Manley, and he was he was like an alien disguised as a human, and so I gave him like the most shrill robotic voice possible, and he had like this constant petrified smile, and his catchphrase was just like fellow human. Like he was just very poorly convincing people that he was a human. I created this character, Carolyn Lemaire, who is a sentient coral reef, who is also like the engineer of the island. Like she was a coral reef off of the coast of the island, and early on in the island's life she kind of like set up the engineering infrastructure, and that's how the island has power and stuff like this. I had a character named Shank Stabman, who who was like an ex-convict, but he was framed, and Stabman, and it's just an unfortunate name. He's never stabbed anybody. He's actually really nice and likes to read and stuff. And I had fun. Like I made this baker, this short little cute baker lady named Betty Bretty. It was fun to make like little OC characters in this in a way that I never engaged with in the original Tomodachi Life. And I think that's actually what they want you to do. Like it's fun and everything to have like, one of the things happening on my island was this burgeoning romance between David Lynch and King Dedede, and that's funny and whatever. But I do think that they kind of intend you to make like, these original characters and stuff. And I think it's kind of cool that in an organic way, the game kind of pushed me in that direction. And I am not normally that kind of guy. So yeah, it was very fun to engage with the game in that way.
They let you have a max of like 70 Miis on the island this time. So yeah, like you have plenty of space unless you know a million people to make original characters like you're talking about, or make all the Yakuza main characters and whatever, and see what happens, see what kind of romance you can get Kiryu and Majima up to, like we've all been waiting for decades at this point. When it comes to the songs we heard, I don't have too many notes for these. We almost didn't include this game in this episode. I think mostly I just wanted to talk about how funny Tomodachi Life is. Really,
sure.
The music is just really like catchy. It's just very catchy and good. With wear and wear clothing. If the Dragonite doll from Pokopia song sounds like how to clean up a chemical spill, this is like how to redeem your cashback rewards on our website. Music is kind of what I had. Yeah, I don't know. This is just really super cute and catchy, just like the entire soundtrack. I like that they do like a funky bass guitar backing throughout, but I will say, in terms of notes on the overall soundtrack, not just this song specifically, this is a very rare instance for me where I really appreciate the much higher sound quality of the Switch compared to the 3DS. Like
definitely
with handheld games, I often like kind of crunchy, garbled audio to a certain extent. But for whatever reason with Tomodachi Life, I really, really appreciate how crisp and squeaky clean the audio is in Living the Dream compared to the original. I don't know, it just helps sell the idea that you're taking care of these little dudes on this island.
I think even visually, like I think the Mii's look so much better, and the even like the just the fidelity of the entire thing is so much stronger, despite the fact that it is a Switch 1 game. Like it's not even a Switch 2. We're still patiently waiting on them to charge me for a Switch 2 version of this game, which I'm sure is going to be happening. But yeah, like this song just has those kind of classic retail store vibes to me, just like the warbly synth, very clean guitars. I'm glad you brought up the bass. I think that the bass line in this is hard to hear without good headphones, but I think that it does add a lot to the song. Actually, and there are a couple of little breaks where the bass like is kind of allowed to like slide, and you actually kind of hear it, and you're like, oh damn, yeah, like the bass in this is good. My favorite thing in this song is there's like these little I love chimes. I love like wind chimes and stuff, and there's a nice little like kind of chime sound that happens between the phrases. I think you first hear them around 48 seconds, and I just really love that. Like I think that like chimes are the perfect kind of like, I don't know, chill vibe to me when I hear them in a song. Always a delight when I hear a good chime.
When it comes to Studio Workshop Palette House, this is probably the song I have the least notes for of this whole episode.
I think me too. Yeah.
It's just going to be with me until the day I die. I guess that's really the only thing you need to know about this song. I mean, it's nice that if it's going to be with me for the rest of my life, it's so catchy and good. But yeah, we kind of already talked about it. Like when the first thing my wife spent a lot of time doing here was making our cat Cookie in here, and that's just when I realized. I mean, I've heard it way more since then, but that was the first time I knew, like, all right, this is like wedging itself in the dark recesses of my brain forever at this point. The only other note I had for it is that if you're not listening with headphones, it's pretty easy to miss, but they actually do have they cycle through different versions of this with like different instruments going on as it goes. I'd never caught that until this morning, and yeah, it's cool. It's nice that they do that again, especially with how much you're going to hear it. It's nice that they give you some subtle differences as it cycles through.
Yeah, this is a Mario Paint song, basically. That's basically what this is. That the main melodies of this are so Mario Paint coded to me, and I mean, it makes sense because this is like the studio workshop where you are painting things and making custom stuff. Makes perfect sense. I think paired with like where it really kind of feels like Mario Paint to me is when you pair those melodies with those kind of like whistly notes that are very Mario Paint to me. You have and yeah, like you said, the fact that these different instruments are playing this same melody, I think is also kind of Mario Paint coded. That was my big takeaway. I don't have a lot of notes for this song either, but I was like, damn, this just, if they were to make like a new Mario Paint game on Nintendo Switch, it might sound like this. It's basically what it sounds like. So yeah, I really love it.
Yeah, when my wife bought this and I was watching her play, my main impression was just, okay, they made Mario Paint, but they gave you stuff to do with the things you Mario Paint, basically.
Yeah.
Like, there's actual goofs to be had beyond just making it or whatever, right? That's really quite literally what Tomodachi Life is, but it's cool. It's cool for that. It is a way more interesting game than I feel like it has any right to be. And I say that as someone that I also played dozens, if not like over 100 hours of the 3DS game. I liked it a lot, but Living the Dream really kind of went way above and beyond any of my expectations for it, which is just so funny to say about this stupid game.
I just need him to add I need him to add the music hall. That's my big regret. I loved the music hall in the first game. The fact that the music hall did not return for this pisses me off, frankly. that docks at an instant point in my review scale. I need to sing ballads with my Miis.
Well, who knows with how much Nintendo likes doing like free updates and paid updates and whatever.
I fully expect that. I fully especially the way that like the painting. I guarantee you, dude, by the end of the year, there will be a Tomodachi Life Nintendo Switch 2 edition that will have mouse mode support, and it will add like new content to the game, like the music hall. There's no way they're not going to do that.
Yeah, just for the mouse mode support alone,
Yeah.
like it is kind of surprising they didn't just get that version out there immediately. But yeah,
Right.
I think you're right. I'm guessing that will happen, especially because this sold like 8 million copies or something absurd already.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then let's go on to our last game that we're talking about, at least to this degree of this episode. Hey, it's Mina the Hollower. We had to talk about Mina the Hollower and its soundtrack. We're going to play you Gator Gallop, Nox's Bayou, and Theory of Everything, Mirror's End from Mina the Hollower. Gator Gallop was composed by Jake Kaufman, and Theory of Everything was composed by Yuzo Koshiro, and we'll be right back. once more. That was Gator Gallop, Nox's Bayou, and Theory of Everything Mirror's End. I kind of don't really feel the need to get super in depth on what Mina the Hollower is. I feel like this and Pokopia, at least in my space that I hang out in online, these are like the biggest games of the year so far. I did an exhaustive review of this game. I've played through it twice. It is very, very good. It is the next game from Yacht Club Games, the creators of Shovel Knight. It is this time, instead of a side-scrolling action platformer, this is more inspired by overhead Zelda-like, specifically the Game Boy and Game Boy Color ones, like Link's Awakening and the Oracle games. Though that said, it's not as one-to-one in comparison as I think a lot of people make it out to be. There's a lot of Souls-like stuff in here, especially Bloodborne. If you've ever said to yourself, I would like to play a game inspired by Bloodborne, but is 2D overhead, this literally is that game. It's also probably more dark than you're expecting. The main things I want to hit on with Mina as a game is that it is remarkable how open and free form the game is, not just in terms of its structure. Like, once you're through the opening act, you can go to any of the other 6 major areas in basically whatever order you want, with a little bit of a caveat with the 5th and 6th areas. But not just in terms of that structure, also how open the actual like gameplay is, how many secrets there are in this game. It is absurd. I've rarely played a game that felt this dense with secrets like on every screen. There's multiple secrets basically. But it also applies to like the combat and stuff. Like, you'll find, I think like 60 trinkets total in the game.
Yeah.
And you can equip up to like 5 or 6 of them if you find all the upgrade pouches. They completely change how the game feels. You can do so many builds with them. You know, we're talking about this being inspired by Bloodborne. My least favorite thing about Bloodborne is how little variety you really have with making builds in that, especially compared to like Elden Ring or Dark Souls 1 or whatever. Mina the Hollower has a way crazier build potential than actual Bloodborne, which again is very silly on the surface to say about this like Zelda Game Boy Color like thing, but that's just how, I don't know, how deep this game gets, how far you can dig into its mechanics and really like make it play the way you want it to play. Like, I see people complaining about the difficulty with it, and I don't disagree that this is like a hard game, but I've seen some people be like, this is harder than Silksong. That's crazy. Silksong does not give you even a fraction of the amount of tools at your disposal to bend it to your will the way Mina the Hollower does. And that's without even getting into like the assist mode stuff or what are the modifiers that they have built into the game. So without getting too much more in depth to it than that, that's really what I wanted to emphasize, that Mina the Hollower is a top-down Zelda cross with Bloodborne style game that is way more open and interesting than anything they ever did with Shovel Knight. That's kind of my pitch for the game.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I don't have a ton to add to that description. I also really enjoyed it. I love the amount of build potential, particularly with the trinkets. I think that's where the game's like depth really comes from when it comes to like its combat and stuff, is with the trinkets, because the game gives you 5 very unique weapon types that get even more unique as you can upgrade each one of them twice, which is cool. Like it you know, they all played very, very differently. Like I really gravitated towards that damn shield, the one that you can like parry with, and I loved that thing. And but they all have very cool uses as you find them throughout the game and stuff. And yeah, there's just a ton of kind of like build potential and ways to play it, ways to engage with it. And I do think that the game asks a lot of players in terms of like, you know, it can be overwhelming from time to time. You do have a lot of things to kind of think about and grapple with, but I don't know. I found that to be kind of cool. I found it to be something that, like, I really enjoyed the ebb and flows of combat in this, particularly with the way that Mina can hollow or burrow like under the ground and stuff. And you can use that in a bunch of different ways. You can use that for you will have to use that for platforming and stuff, but also in combat, like it's a great way to close distance or gain distance from enemies. It's a great way to get around an area or something. I don't know, like I think that like the game gives you a lot of options, and I do think that can be overwhelming, but what it also means is that it gives you a lot of options to navigate every situation. My big complaints with the game come from, like, I do think that the sort of vertical nature of a lot of the platforming that it asks you to do is not very readable a lot of the time. And that to me was a big bummer. I found myself bristling against that a lot in the game, not realizing that something was like vertical or that I could engage with it or something. There's also a couple of really obtuse kind of things that are more important to the story and should probably be more telegraphed than they are, particularly with the mirrors and stuff like that. But hey, I really loved it overall. I think that it has, kind of something to say about class systems and the way that people in power abuse public perception. I think the game is shockingly bold for how kind of nothing Shovel Knight is from like a narrative perspective. Like, I like Shovel Knight, right? But it has zero substance to it really at all in terms of that stuff. It is just a straightforward NES style Mega Man kind of thing. I really appreciate that Mina has something really to say about that kind of thing, and especially the ending. Like, not to spoil it, but I was really like kind of shocked with the way that the game ends. I think that it is such a bold and cool way of ending that game that I can already tell people when they reach it are going to be like disappointed by on the surface. But man, I thought it was very effective and very honest to the state of the world that they're setting up, and I don't think it's that different from our real world. And anyway, not to get on a huge tangent about that, but I was very taken with that stuff.
There are multiple ways, and again, we won't go super in depth, don't worry about spoilers, but there are multiple ways in which the game not only ends but like starts building up towards its ending that are surprising. And the thing I'm thinking, I know you'll know what I'm talking about, but when you first meet near the end of the game, what was his name? Lionel? Is that the name of the lion dude?
Yeah.
When you first meet with him at like the banquet or whatever, and the end of the game starts painting itself into focus or coming into focus. Obviously I knew something was going on up to that point. Like, it was obvious, but I didn't expect them to take the turn they did with it and reveal it to you the way they did, and throw back to a pretty beloved moment in one of the most beloved games of all time, but also expanding on it and making it more interesting and having a sense of humor about itself while still being serious. Honestly, maybe like the story moment of the year so far, in right there with the way it ties into all of your actions throughout the whole game and stuff. It was very, very shocking to me at the time. And if you already get the gist of it and you don't want to see anymore, you can just say, okay, stop, I get it. I get what you're doing.
Right.
Kind of thing, which is also very cool. Yeah, I was really impressed with the story too, despite, again, it's very obvious what it's doing. Like, basically, the moment you get into Osix, it's very clear where they're going. But yeah, the steps they take along the way and the reveals and the conclusion are probably different, at least a little bit, than you're expecting. And yeah, I really appreciated that about the game.
Yeah, I will say we're not covering it, here on the show, but I do want to give a quick shout out to the Septemberg area of the game. That kind of like horror movie area where you're like being chased by this unkillable, the carving man or whatever it's called. Like, man, what a cool area of the game. I just think this game did so many neat things with like kind of the format of a game like this. And I think that Yacht Club should be applauded for the sort of boldness of this game. And I mean, look, the game is selling well and stuff like this, but I know that from their perspective, there was a worry that this was going to be a make or break moment for them. And I'm glad that it's paying off, because I do really respect what they've done here.
multiple moments in that September sequence where I was like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe they're doing this to me. In a good way, but also in a genuinely shocking way. But that's the cool thing about Mina, is that like every area is so unique and distinct, even going so far as into the details as how you burrow, because every like surface of the game has different properties with how you're burrowing and how you come out of a burrow and whatnot, right? Like snow is different than water, is different than like mud is, you know, like there's just so many different ways that they come up with this one mechanic with the burrowing to mix it up and like change how the platforming works and whatever. Super impressive game all around. And yeah, again, I always liked Shovel Knight. I always thought the expansions, all three of them, were way better than the base game. But
totally,
Mina is head and shoulders above anything they were ever doing with Shovel Knight. And it's nice that they didn't just make Super Shovel Knight or Shovel Knight 64 or whatever that people were wanting, because this is so much interesting in every regard. Even, I would argue, the soundtrack.
Definitely.
You know, when it comes to Gator Gallop, this is probably the standout song of the entire OST. I will say, again, it's an amazing song, but like a Game Boy sound chip Bayou Boogie sound, like that feels like it was made to just be gushed about on video game music podcasts like we're doing right now.
Yes. You know, it's so funny. You basically read almost verbatim exactly what my first note is. My first note is, this is definitely the standout song of the game. It just sounds so different from not only the rest of the music in the game, but also from Jake Kaufman's previous work. Yeah, as somebody who spent a significant period of their life in Louisiana, I love the idea of emulating like bluegrass or like Zydeco music with chiptune. I can't say that I have ever heard this done before. Like emulating harmonica sounds, like washboard sounds, banjo sounds, like they really have run the entire gamut of this style of kind of, bayou boogie music. I've never heard that before. I've never heard anybody do that before, and it doesn't lose that kind of dramatic driving action and more kind of like complicated arpeggiated stuff that still makes it sound like a Jake Kaufman song, something that still feels inspired by Mega Man or Castlevania or something. It's pretty damn incredible, dude. Like, I really need to sit down with this game's soundtrack to determine, but yeah, this is definitely the one where when I heard this in game, I was like, what the hell am I hearing right now?
So when I was reviewing this, you know, we talked about how open the game is. But if you are just someone that's concerned about that, or you want to follow a set path, the game does give you hints through the newspaper, like, hey, you should head in this direction next.
Yeah.
So for the review purposes, I followed that path. And if you do that, the bayou is the second area you go to.
Right.
And the first area you go to is pretty standard fare, not a knock against the game or whatever, but it's the most standard the game ever gets. Like, you're exploring this like crypt or graveyard area, and it feels the most like a traditional like overhead Zelda dungeon. And then to have the bayou be the immediate next area, if I'm honest, I think the bayou is my favorite area in the whole game, not just in terms of the music, but I really like the gimmick of like, we're talking about how different surfaces act differently when you're burrowing in them. I think burrowing in water is a cool concept. The enemies are super cool, like the giant like fat frogs with like jugs that they're throwing around. The optional boss, I guess it's not optional, you need to get to it at some point, but not on your first time through necessarily. But that boss guarding the mirror here is one of my favorite bosses in the whole game. Again, some of the best platforming. I just love this area all around. And it's so cool that they were confident enough in the game that they put this at like the second slot, you know, like, hey, our design ethos is so strong and we are confident in the whole game that despite how good this area is, we're not saving this till like the fourth or fifth or the back half of the game, right? Like, nope, we're giving this to you immediately. And when I say it's probably my favorite, that's not to say that like any area in the game is markedly worse than this. They're all of a similar quality. I just think the theming coupled with the music, coupled with everything else, really set this one over the top for me.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff, man. And like I said, like, I think that like Zydeco and bluegrass kind of music is already like that kind of Cajun flavor. I think is usually just paid lip service in games that take place in like, you know, there have been plenty of games that take place in like the South and Louisiana and New Orleans and stuff like this, but they don't often nail the vibe of it the way that this damn like chiptune Game Boy Color kind of sounding thing does. Like, I don't know. I really, really appreciate that. This feels very true to something that you might hear at like a Zydeco festival or something in Louisiana. I really, really loved it. It really felt it felt very like true and familiar to me.
Super, super cool. And like Seth has said, you almost never get to hear this type of music in video games, but represented as an 8-bit Game Boy chiptune thing, never. I've never heard anything like this in my entire life. Very, very cool. For Theory of Everything, I did not realize, I knew Yuzo Koshiro was a guest composer on the soundtrack for a couple tracks. I did not realize until I was looking stuff up after we'd already selected the songs that this is one of them. And that makes so much sense. I guess I should note real quick, if you're not familiar, Yuzo Koshiro is the composer for like the first 3 Streets of Rage games, ActRaiser, Etrian Odyssey, a whole bunch of stuff. He's one of the most prolific video game composers of all time. He might be my favorite video game composer of all time. He's certainly up there. And so it's so funny because I loved the song the moment I heard it. When I first heard it in game, I'm like, oh, Jake really went for like the Mega Man sound. Like this just straight up sounds like Gravity Man from Mega Man 5, which is probably my favorite Mega Man 5 song. But then to find out that it's Yuzo Koshiro, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. But yeah, I don't have too many notes specifically on the song itself. I just really, this is, besides the Bayou song, this is probably my favorite song in the game, and it was just funny to learn that it was one of 2, I think, Yuzo Koshiro songs.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even know that he did 2. I knew that he did coming into the game because I'm a Kickstarter backer of this game from like 2018 or whatever. And like I remember hearing, it might have even been a stretch goal, but I remember hearing that Yuzo Koshiro was composing at least like one song from this. And so playing the game, I was kind of like in the back of my head wondering like, which one of these is going to be the Yuzo Koshiro song? And then hearing this, I'm like, oh, it's this one.
Right.
Like this is definitely, this has like all of the like trademarks of his style to me, which is, yeah, very driving, percussive, punchy, but also lots of texture, lots of like, polyphonic harmonies and stuff like this that you hear and stuff like Streets of Rage. I don't have a ton of notes on this song in particular. It's just cool that like they got him to do something like this in this game. I do want to specifically call out at 104 that chunky, bassy, like commanding synth passage that really did something to me. When I listen to that with good headphones, when that comes in, I'm like, oh man, that's some good stuff. So
I quickly looked up while you were talking the other song he did. It was Rolling Steam Spiral Summit. So that's one of the songs from like the ice area.
Oh, okay.
It must be like the area right before you get to the boss, based on its position in the soundtrack and whatever else. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I'd have to go listen to it. But yeah, like I said, these, at least as of right now, these are my 2 favorite songs on the Mina the Hollower soundtrack. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about either of these, I think. Hey, yeah, Mina the Hollower, my second favorite game of the year, and I think my second favorite soundtrack of the year so far.
Yeah, good
it's
video
been
game.
A great video game, and yeah, it was nice to... I was kind of doubting this game a bit based on like the demo last year and stuff, so it was nice to be proven wrong and just get something this high quality. Like I like this more than any of like the actual Game Boy Zeldas and stuff. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I really
no
like it a
question.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With all of that said, then are we ready to get into the YouTube comment oversharing corner?
Let's do it.
This is the section of the show where we read off any funny, memorable, interesting, or downright insane comments we've stumbled across while grabbing songs for this episode. Hey, let's start off with some Gator Gallop ones, since we just talked about it. This first one here is from Rat Talisman, that's fantastic
That's a good
name. Commented on Gator Gallop 2 weeks ago. This song sounds like what hiking on a 90-degree day in 80% humidity feels like. So I added this specifically because here in Hamburg, Germany, we have had 80% humidity days the past couple days. And I really want to agree with Rat Talisman that this is what that feels like. You really can, when you hear music like this in general, you really can feel the swampiness, but it's so funny that, again, we just talked about it, the fact that he was able to convey that swampiness, like, even with a Game Boy sound chip kind of sound going on. I think that is so impressive, and it's funny that other people are calling that out.
Yeah, I just pulled up the weather app on my phone. Here in Houston, Texas this morning, it is 94% humidity.
Oh, what? You're basically underwater.
Yeah, we live in hell here, kind of in the swampy heat of Texas and Louisiana. So yeah, that is definitely accurate, if not a little generous. I pulled a comment here from YouTube user at Little Norwegians, which the username made me laugh, but they commented on Gator Gallop 2 weeks ago. And I just love this because it's just so stupid. It's a stupid statement. They say, there's soul food in Knox's Bayou, and that food is music.
Yeah, it's very like poor translation of like a fortune cookie fortune, like that's kind of what it strikes me as. It's one of those, it's that perfect cross section of a YouTube comment where I can tell what they're trying to convey with that, and like I get it, but it's also just such a stupid thought. Yeah, it's very stupid. It feels like, if you dressed it up in like a little bit fancier language, maybe you could have had like the markings of the start of something,
right.
But the idea that you went out of your way to just post this is very... We got a couple of those, I feel like.
That food is music. I can't think of a dumber collection of 4 words. That food is music.
I do love when we do these more recent, like the mid-year check-ins and end-of-year episodes, because I feel like we get some really deranged comments.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, for the theory of everything, we had YouTube user Pogue Squadron 2 days ago saying, Yuzo Koshiro, nasty with this shit. 104 is killer. And I just love Yuzo Koshiro nasty with this. It's just so good.
Is 104, is that that's the base I think that I was talking about? Isn't that the same tag I had?
I think that's the same tag you had.
Yeah. No, they're right. He is nasty with that shit.
He is right. I don't deny it. It's just, I love the simple comments like that.
Yeah.
And like incorrect grammar and stuff. Yeah, you're really going for it.
YouTube user Moon3117 commented on Dream Island Dragonite Doll 2 months ago, and this is an edited comment. Reminds me of that one song from Treasure Planet.
So I added this in here. I've never seen Treasure Planet. I know the movie. I've never seen it.
It's good.
I've heard it's really good. I always wanted to see it. Just never got around to it. I only added this in here because I love how useless of a comment this is. Like, the idea to me reminds me of that one song from Treasure Planet, and then you edited the comment, but you didn't edit in what the song actually is. Like, you didn't go find out what it is. Like, I'm assuming it was just like a spelling mistake he's editing. There were no likes, no comments, no responses on this comment, which tells me everyone else also realizes how useless it is, which is very funny. But I just love how absolutely atrociously useless this comment is.
Yeah, well, and even as I know Treasure Planet, I don't know what they're talking about. This song didn't remind me of anything from Treasure Planet, so I don't know what you mean, dude.
For this next one, we've got Switch Play Gaming commented on Sparkling Skylands Day 3 months ago. They just say, 341 brings tears to my eyes. Felt like I've been in this place before a few lifetimes ago. Underrated soundtrack. So I genuinely really like this comment. I don't know that this is underrated. I feel like people are rating Pokemon Pokopia pretty accurately at this point.
Yeah.
But I really like that line, feels like I've been in this place before a few lifetimes ago. That was weirdly beautiful to me, and I think accurately describes the sound and vibe of the Sparkling Skylands.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, I swear to God, I'm not going to get on a tangent about this. Swear to God. But I've been like kind of tangentially reading about some like Buddhist beliefs and practices and stuff. And this made me think of like this idea of like a few lifetimes, because, you know, Buddhists and Buddhism, like they believe in reincarnation and stuff. And one thing that I find very fascinating and kind of beautiful about Buddhism is that a lot of Buddhist beliefs, like kind of, I don't know, like are all about appreciating so much what your life and experience is like as a living human. And one of them is that like you are the product of a bunch of reincarnation, and like the karma that has been built up is what has even allowed you the privilege of being a living human, like being a part of this universal consciousness. And again, I just think that's a pretty beautiful idea just in general. I think a lot of Buddhist beliefs are pretty beautiful. And anyway, that's what this comment made me think of.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I really enjoy, my wife knows more about like Buddhism stuff than I do, but I love the idea that like everything has like not exactly a soul, but some kind of like essence, basically, even objects that are, you know, inanimate and whatever. I love hearing about that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I
nice
think,
ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought like Buddhism sounds, it's the thing I would most like to learn more about when it comes to spirituality in the world. I think there's a lot of interesting ideas I've seen posited in beliefs and whatnot. Also really love that comment and your response to it was right before this next very dumb one you get to read.
Okay. YouTube user, I guess this is supposed to be Luminous Nova, but it's with a Z. So it's Luminous Nova. Commented on Wear and Wear clothing 2 months ago. Hank, don't enter the clothing store. They will put your Miis into house arrest. Hank.
I'm just a sucker for Breaking Bad references in general, and I can just hear Bryan Cranston like reading this off in
laying
my head
in
also.
the dirt. Yeah.
Hank, don't do it. And if that comment makes no sense to you, we do have an explainer with this next comment.
Yes.
YouTube user TVXQ Crazy, Xquazy, I guess I'm going to pronounce it.
That's my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
Xquazy.
They commented on Wear and Wear clothing 1 month ago. It's literally been 12 days since the full release, and I was already confused at the top comments. LMAO, I just came here to enjoy the music. And hey, I also was confused.
I just came here to enjoy the music, man.
Yeah, I also was confused sifting through these comments because they all were variations of like your Mii's being put into house arrest, basically. Then we had Authenticity 555 replied, in the demo, after you buy them clothes, at first I read that as you buy them clothes, not as you buy them the Mii's clothes, but you buy them clothes. Yeah. In the demo, after you buy them clothes, you complete the demo and can't really do anything. If you interact with your Mii's, they only talk about the retail version. And then they themselves had to edit and say in all caps, "Holy crap, I spelt buying wrong. I hate my phone so much." Because blong was meant to be buying, but it's like BU6LYONG.
That's
it's
so
just
unhinged, dude.
It's just we are unpeeling so many layers this episode. We still have to get through a voicemail. I don't know how this is gonna.
Jesus.
This episode is just completely deranged.
The idea that they went in and edited and like gave context that I can't believe I spelt buying wrong. I hate my phone, but didn't correct it.
Instead of just fixing it, the entire point of an edit.
And also, you misspelled all kinds of things in your comment. You couldn't tell the way Matt was reading it, but like there's no usage of the word "you," just the letter "u." Me's is lowercase. Really is RLLY. Like you misspelled all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, this was a mess of a comment.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a mess of a response to a comment.
Yeah, and yeah, for if you were not able to decipher what was being said there, the Tomodachi Life demo effectively ends when you enter the wear and wear clothing store. So a lot of people commented on the song saying like, oh yeah, this is like where my Mii's were lobotomized basically, because you open and enter the store and then from then on your Mii's just talk about buying the full version of the game. So that's what that was all about.
Yeah,
thanks.
It
for
all
nothing.
makes sense when you find out the context, but then you realize how dumb it is that literally everyone is making variations of the same joke.
Right. Yep. Okay. Last one. YouTube user at Squirrel Mario commented on Studio Workshop 2 months ago, made some Arby's as a food item, and literally everyone I've fed it to has hated it. This game is so realistic. Yes, I made it taste awful and it's cold and meaty, but I did say realistic.
Cold and meaty is so
awful.
It is so evocative of. I mean, it is like kind of accurate to Arby's. I guess I've never had cold Arby's, but yeah, Arby's to me is like the worst fast food. I would rather eat McDonald's than Arby's most of the time. I don't know if this is about to spark a whole thing, but I mean, hey, look, I know how to play in the mud with everyone else. I eat Arby's sometimes. Well, not in Germany anymore, but there is just something particularly nasty about Arby's in a way that I can't describe. I also, real quick, before Seth responds, I want to say that my mom, God bless her soul, told me, I don't know, this is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a while ago, that whenever she would have a stomach ache, she would crave Arby's roast beef. And I'm not joking when I say this. As little as like a few months ago, I called her to catch up, and I was like, "Yeah, how you doing?" She's like, "Yeah, I got like some stomach stuff going on right now, but it's okay. I called Grandma, and she's on the way. She picked me up some Arby's roast beef sandwiches." I'm like, dude, this is why you have the issues that you're having, because you just keep burying it
of Arby's. Under pounds of lunch meat.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Like, you're not solving anything. You're literally just burying your organs under like nasty roast beef. I would rather smoke cigarettes than eat a whole bunch of Arby's while I'm having stomach issues.
Okay. I won't go too hard on this. I don't love Arby's, but I do think that Arby's gets a bad rap. I do think that Arby's is a little unnecessarily hated. First of all, I think that the curly fries are objectively excellent. Some of my favorite.
The curly fries are fantastic. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, some of my favorite fries. I love their curly fries. I will also say that there is a disgusting part of me that just every now and then I just want to like get in the slop. I just want to slop it up with like a beef and cheddar from Arby's with that kind of like ketchup-y barbecue sauce and like some of that. I love the horsey sauce. I love horseradish. I love that horsey sauce. Like a beef and cheddar on that onion roll, just covered in grease with horsey sauce. I don't know, man. There is something about that. I have it maybe like once every 2 years or something, but when I do, it's just kind of good. Every now and then it kind of hits.
I think once every couple years is about right for Arby's. I think that's fair. Like I said, it's not like I never ate Arby's when I lived in America. It was not in a regular rotation like Taco Bell, like Wendy's or anything. Like, also, it's like weirdly expensive. Arby's is
Yeah.
Even before the current economic status of the world at large, Arby's was pretty expensive. It probably costs like $30 to get an Arby's combo meal.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I'm gonna go to like a Five Guys or something like that. But still, it's it like every now and then it kind of hits. I get it.
Especially if you're my mom suffering from whatever debilitating illness she's given herself over the years by eating so much Arby's.
Yep. Anyway, shout out to Arby's.
I guess if you want to sponsor us, send me a hat. I'm down, I guess.
So yeah, send Matt an Arby's cowboy hat. That'd be so sick.
I forgot. Arby's, they were the ones that used to make all the video game and anime stuff on Twitter out of like
They
their
did.
cardboard and stuff.
There
Right?
was a
They even
Shovel
were at
Knight
GDQ.
Yeah.
There was a Shovel Knight one. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Arby's, I'll take it all back. I'll edit the episode if you make me a bit harmony thing out of cardboard. I'm assuming the people that did that in their PR are long, long gone, but I have not paid
Yeah.
attention in a very long time. Anyway, that was the YouTube comment oversharing corner for this episode of the show. Before we get to our closing stuff, we do have a voicemail and a final break to get to.
All right, let's hear it.
Yes, hello. This is Sean Capri. I am out for a nice walk with my son. It's slightly raining. This is probably a bad idea, but that's not the point. I'm listening to the latest episode of my very favorite video game music podcast, Bit Harmony. You were worried I was going to say something else, weren't you? Anyway, I listen to the podcast and all podcasts at about 1.5 to 2 times speed. And I would like to request something very specific. Could you please release a version of the podcast where the music is played at half speed so that when I listen to it at 2 times speed, it is normal? That is all. Thank you. I love you both. Bye. 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 How do I hang up? Bye.
Dude, okay. Shout out to Sean. I always Sean's called in a couple of times. I always love it when Sean calls in and contributes to the show. Very good to hear from Sean. But I've never seen somebody of his age. He's not that old. I've never seen somebody. It's like the one old man thing of Sean is that he doesn't know how to work his phone. Like he just doesn't know. He doesn't. He's struggled hanging up. Like we gotta fix this.
As a true millennial, I have like mapped out how to get off of a phone call as quickly as I can. I can't stand being on the phone, even leaving voicemails. Now I know how to turn off a call on my phone. I know how to get out of there. When it comes to the request, no, unless if you Sean, if you subscribe to the Patreon, I will put out every episode a special Sean Capri cut of the episode, but only on Patreon. How about that?
That would be hilarious.
I guess it wouldn't be that much more work. It would just require moving some stuff around. But yeah, if you want to join the Patreon, I'd even take a $1 tier. Would he have access to that if he's at the $1 tier? Maybe it has to be the $5 tier. I mean,
he would have access to like the Patreon feed at the $1 tier. Of course, this is a good little plug for the Patreon. He would have early access to the show as well at the $1 tier, but he would not have access to the exclusive Patreon exclusive minis at the $1 tier.
Okay, so he would have early access, but not early access to the Sean Capri cut.
Yeah, the Sean Capri, Sean's version.
It's like Taylor's version.
Yeah,
but
totally.
it's Sean's.
Yeah, Sean's version.
I think there was even more stuff I wanted to riff off of with that, but I don't know. My brain is fried at this point. However, because there was still more video game music we wanted to stuff into this episode, and I thought it would be funny if we did play something at half speed. We are, for this one time only, going to play a half speed song for Sean specifically. That's going to be Chimera Solo from Titanium Court. That's composed by A.P. Thompson. Again, this is at half speed, so it's not what it actually sounds like, except for Sean, where it will sound normal. It's only a 30-second song normally, so it's about a minute for everyone else. But again, that's Chimera Solo, and I guess we'll talk about it after the break. And again, if you're confused and that was a rush of things happening all at once, that was Chimera Solo at half speed from Titanium Court, specifically for Sean. Hey, maybe I'll even put in at the very end of the episode the normal speed version for anyone that wants to hear it, because for a 30-second little song, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved this.
Yeah, no, this is like kind of the Titanium Court song for me. And yeah, for context, like Sean called in with this request, and I don't know if he even expected us to honor this request or anything. But it kind of worked out because we were talking about other potential games that we might want to cover in this episode, and I had brought up Titanium Court, which at the time you hadn't played yet. I know you have now. We've talked about it a little, but you know, it was like, oh, well, if we were to play some music from Titanium Court, what would you pick? And I was kind of like scouring through the soundtrack, which by the way is only available on Steam, like, which is always weird. Anyway, I'm looking for this like specific piece of music that I associate with Titanium Court, and I couldn't find it. Lo and behold, it's this little 30-second like solo or whatever. And so I sent it to you, and you're like, well, this would be the perfect thing to play at half speed, because it, you know, it's good for the bit, but also it's not going to be too distracting, because even at half speed, it'll only be a minute long. So, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this plays like when the troops are like fighting, right? Like you unleash your units or whatever.
Like the battle phase. Yeah. The low tide or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved this. Real Estate, the band, that's like my favorite band, or one of my top favorite bands of like the 2010s. And this kind of just sounds like a Real Estate song from their early stuff. So it makes sense that I'd love this. But yeah, I'd had this installed for months from our shared account, or rather just our Steam family share thing.
Yeah.
But I hadn't gotten around to it. But when you sent this, I'm like, I feel like I have to play this just for a little bit, just because of how much I like this stupid 30-second little thing. And yeah, I played well over an hour yesterday. I like the game a lot for what it is. We talked about it. I could see the shtick wearing itself thin pretty quickly for me personally, both the humor and the actual gameplay. Like, I want to get this episode over with. We don't need to get too into the weeds on it, but it's basically a match 3 puzzle game, but where everything you're making disappear on the board when you match 3 is giving you resources that you suspend in like battle phases and whatever, and it's kind of got like a roguelite element going on to it, and what it's a really, really neat game, very like minimalist visually, and then you have this kind of, again, the surfer beach rock psychedelic soundtrack going on. It is one of the most striking games I've tried in years, but I also don't think, unless it comes out on Switch, I'm going to like really actually finish it or anything. But very, very neat. And yeah, I just loved this. And yeah, like Seth said, this is just too good of a bit to not play at half speed for the voicemail purposes.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Because the game, it is like a sort of real-time strategy game that is played in phases, and the sort of preparation phase being this kind of like, match 3 thing where you're gathering your resources, but also creating the battlefield in which the sort of battle phase will happen. I think it's such a neat concept. I've never played anything like that before. But yeah, like with this bit of the song, like there is kind of like a lead up song that plays during the high tide or whatever it is, that first kind of prep phase. But then like when you go into the battle phase and it starts playing this, it's like, okay, like now things are rolling, send out the troops, and I even love like because that turn always takes like a certain amount of time. I don't know, it kind of plays out the way it's going to play out, and you kind of understand the rhythms of it. And there's something about that little drum fill at the end of it that really kind of sells like the time's up kind of feeling. Like it's like cutting it short. It's like, all right, like pencils down, turns over, I really like that about it. But yeah, it's a neat game. Like I said, I don't have a ton to say about Titanium Court. I played it for like a good 7 hours or so. I think it's very, very cool. But yeah, I got just kind of tired of it after a while. Just the writing, I think, is very... I would compare it to like Douglas Adams, like Hitchhiker's Guide meets Monty Python kind of energy. Which again, I think is really good and charming for a lot of it. But after a while, it did just start to like wear thin on me. But if it were to come to Switch, I would probably give it another go. Yeah.
I just don't want to sit at my desk playing like a match 3 thing. You know, I want to play that lounging on the couch with a handheld in my hand, right? So, yeah, really like the soundtrack though. I've listened to some more of it, and everything I heard while playing it was awesome.
It's great.
It's a fantastic soundtrack. One of the most interesting soundtracks I've heard in a
solo
video game
dev.
years.
Yeah.
Solo dev, cool game. If you've never heard of it, maybe you want to check it out just for the soundtrack alone. I don't know, but there you go, Sean. I hope that was worth it. I hope that was worth the voicemail. Speaking of voicemails, if you want to send one in yourself, you can do that in a couple different ways. You can email us at bitharmonypod@gmail.com, or you can dial that in to 216-230-8540. That number again is 216-230-8540. If you're dialing it in, you want to keep those to about 3 minutes. If you go over, Google Voice just cuts you out. If you're emailing us, you can send whatever, just send an audio file. Even a text works fine. I did notice in our spam, we had, we get all kinds of like weird, like, here's why your podcast isn't performing well. It's because of SEO, blah, blah, blah. Like just wanting you to email them back. We had one in there that was, your podcast deserves so much more than this. I was like, thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm glad someone else thinks so.
You deserve better.
Yeah. But anyway, again, you can contact us, again, through bitharmonypod@gmail.com or that number, or we've got Discord. Seth will tell you all about that.
Yeah, you can join Discord and talk to us there too. We have a friendly and free and welcoming Discord community. You can join up, talk about the show, leave in your stuff there, whatever you want to do. We also usually ping for voicemails and stuff if you just want like a reminder. You can do that too. Or you can support on Patreon, as we mentioned earlier. If you want to be like Sean, you will not get an individualized cut of the episode, but you will get early access and other exclusive perks over there on Patreon. And of course, supporting us while you're doing it. And you'll also get thanked at the Golden Banana and Triforce tiers at the end of the episode, like I'll do right now. Bit Harmony is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. Thank you to our Triforce tier supporters, Adam Caparello, Bowza, Quagmire, Dan and Luma, Danielina Hosa, SAZ, John Cummins, Josh Vaughn, Ligerwoods330, and Uncle Randy. And thank you to our Golden Banana tier supporters, Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, Foolish Fuji, Gamer Jason, Hopple, John32, Liam D, Old Drake, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, thank you Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, and Stephen Keller. We really appreciate y'all. You can get a 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier and see what all the fuss is about. There are at that tier a ton of exclusive mini episodes of the show. So if you like the show and you want to support us, that is the best way to do it, and you are rewarded with exclusive episodes. So head over to Patreon, links in the show notes. Thanks for your support.
And potentially in the future, the Sean Capri cut of the show. If you also like listening at double speed, but want to hear the music at normal speed, I guess that's the only way to do it besides just pressing a couple buttons on your phone.
Yeah, imagine that. Besides just the very easily solved problem.
But yeah, thank you all for supporting us through all this. I really need to feed my cigarette addiction. The next episode is on July 12th. We actually haven't decided what we're doing yet. It'll probably be more of a layup after how much of a pain this one is going to be to edit on the back end. So yeah, look forward to the return in a couple weeks on July 12th. Yeah. And I think that's all we've really got beyond the outro, which this time is Stoic Porridge from Caves of Cud. And originally, I wanted to talk a little bit about Caves of Cud, but I haven't been able to put in as much time as I would like. I'm probably like 10 to 15 hours in. It's just gotten kind of sideline for me at the moment.
Sure.
It did come out on Switch this year, and it is one of the most interesting games I've ever played. It's very, very like it's borderline like MS-DOS, like ASCII art, but with like a super in-depth simulation going on, playing in like this kind of Mad Max adjacent world where like water is currency and the only reason to live. It is a super fascinating game, and I've not heard much music in the game yet, but this is by far my favorite song in the game, and just one of my favorite songs of the year from a video game so far. So again, this is Stoic Porridge from Caves of Cud, composed by Gregory Hamilton and Brandon Tanner, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
And my entire island is addicted to ciggies. My whole island just loves eating cigarettes.